Hey, what's up, y'all? Sorry I am late. I have been talking on the phone with my gay mother. So we was kikiing a little too long, but we talked about some good stuff. How are y'all doing? I am Diamond Styles. I hope y'all can hear me. Hey, Ren. I am the executive director of Black Trans Women's Inc. If you are a Black trans woman and you are in need of some services or help, the link to my organization is going to be down at the bottom. And you can fill out the form and we can see how we can help you, darlings. Um, and if you are a Black trans man, also hit us up and we can see you in the direction over there for the guys. And, we are just now building out our non binary um, arm of our organization of the Black Trans Advocacy Coalition. So give us time to work on that. But if you are trans and masculine, you can go to the men. If you're trans and feminine, you come to us. Oh God. I'm also the host and producer of Marsha's Plate Podcast, a podcast that discuss culture and current events from a black, pro-black, trans inclusive feminist lens, and you can check that out. The link is in the bottom. We put an episode out every Thursday. And so let's see who's in here. Thank you, thank you, thank you, my curly red. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hey, Eris. Is that how you say? Yeah, Eris. Hey, Musa. Hey, CL. Ty, Marissa, Brandon. Hey. Sorry I'm late. I've been doing my thing. I love this week's episode. You gagged them with the closing question. Did not gag them. Don't be bringing up the church and don't know nothing about the church, child. Y'all know I'm an old church queen and I know that word. You can't, you get what I'm saying? I'm going to bring up the word. We're going to talk about the word. This episode on Marsha's Play, we were discussing T.S. Madison's. She has a new show on Fox Soul, and we were discussing a segment on the show where she brought Cherry the Boom, um, and they went into this kind of, I don't want to say creepy. It wasn't creepy. That's not the right word. For me, awkward because I'm not a Christian. It was just kind of that kind of awkward moment where they were talking about their relationship with God, and it gets real awkward for me. And so Mia, I guess it moved Mia. It moved Mia in a way that she resonated with it. And sometimes I be thinking people are just they just saying Christian because it's the cultural norm of our country, but they don't read the Bible. They barely go to church. They're not living any kind of Christian life. And so sometimes there's a way that I don't know, that sometimes it's kind of awkward for me. So I get to asking them questions about the Bible and questions about their faith. And in this moment on the show, they were talking about, I was bringing up concepts that are real life in the Bible. And it's easy for us to say, when some people, the people who are against us, like against queer people, sometimes they pick and cherry pick shit out of the Bible, and they're like, well, the Bible says this, and the Bible says that, and you gotta bash them with other scriptures, like, and the Bible also says this. Why are you not paying attention to this? Why are you not paying attention to that? It's easier for us to do that to people who are against us. But also, you got to talk about the people who are trying to make this thing work for them on our side, because you can't cherry pick either. I feel like you gotta be in your word and reading your word. You can't tell me that you're a Christian but you don't read the Bible. You can't tell me you're a Christian and you don't go to church. Now, the answer for them always is, "Oh, I don't think you gotta go to church to have a relationship with God." But the church is a big part. No, you don't. But the church is a big part of the Christian faith. Fellowshipping with other Christians is a big part of the Christian faith. It's like converting other people to Christianity. That is a big part of the Christian faith, yo. Like spreading the gospel of Christ is a part of your duty as a Christian. So you can't be like, oh, so if you're the type that's saying, well, I just have a personal relationship with God and I don't want to, I don't worry about nobody else. That's actually not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to spread the gospel. That's a part of your Christian duty, to convert people, to get people to know the joy of Christ and come and believe in that. And so if you're not doing that part of your job, it's hard for me to take you seriously as a Christian. And so a lot of times people's like, I'm just spiritual. But everything you talk about is about Christ and Jesus. Da, da, da. That's not spiritual, baby. That's Christian. And it's okay to be that. But it also gets weird when you're trying to make this work, but you're not actually doing the stuff that that the Bible says you're supposed to be doing. Like even the good stuff, not just, oh, you're not supposed to be gay. Not that stuff. Like just the good stuff, like the stuff that you're supposed to be doing as a Christian, and not shacking up and getting married, and or the stuff. The good stuff. Not the I'm not even talking about the 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 sin stuff. Like you're not even doing the good Christian duties that you're supposed to be doing. And so it gets weird to me. So in that moment, I was just trying to I was asking questions about the reprobated mind, and and it's hard, and a lot of and it always blows my mind when people say they never heard of certain things, and I'm like, how did you grow up in the church? Thank you, money. How did you grow up in the church and you didn't hear about this stuff? Now, mind you, I stopped going to church at around 11, but now I went to church after that, but I'm talking about every week, every in the Bible studying, and then later on I studied too. But where it was constant Bible study, going to church was from the time early of my life all the way until I was like 10. Where if you remember my story about it's called The Gospel of Diamond Styles. That's the name of the video, where I was telling you about the pastor who he didn't touch me or molest me, but when I was telling him about what was going on in my life, he was masturbating. And so if you want to listen to that video, you can check it out. It's called The Gospel of Diamond Styles. But when that moment happened, I didn't want to go back to the church. And once my aunt was, how she was weird about it, I just didn't want to go back to church. And so that stopped me from going to that particular church. Now, further along, I would go to other churches. I would try shit out, but and still reading the Bible, still different stuff like that. So it just started to be different for me. But I can't imagine. I know if you went past 10 years old, it's hard for me to think that you went to church from the time you was born until you was like, till you transitioned at 20 some, 18, 20 something, or later on in life, and you didn't hear about reprobated mind, having a reprobated mind. You didn't hear about that. That's like me. That's like somebody telling me, "Oh, I never heard of a sodomite," or "I never heard of." There are certain particularly black churches. There are certain specific sermons, and like when people say, "Oh, my church won fire and brimstone." Fire and brimstone is a concept because it's something that's common in the church. The fire and brimstone way of, you know, teaching and preaching. That's a concept that we all understand because we done heard the fire and brimstone story. The that concept of hell and, going in sin and Sodom and Gomorrah. It's hard for me to think that you were paying attention for real if you didn't hear about these specific concepts. And so, um, being turned over to a reprobated mind. I keep saying, would it be reprobated mind? Um, what is fire and brimstone? It's like hell. It's where you go. It's like the depiction of hell. Or if you're going. It's the fire and brimstone is hell. And so, in my mind, if you're not, it's hard for me to believe that you went to particularly like a Baptist church or a Kojic church or any AME church, even if they were, because reprobate is not it's not like, oh, anti-homosexual. Reprobate is somebody that's just turned over to their sin. It's the concept of literally that if you have no conscience, if you're just lost in your sin, God turns his back on you. It's hard for me to I it's hard for me to believe that you've never heard of that before. So it was strange when they were acting like I was throwing something at them that they never heard before. I've never heard of God turning his back on you. I was like, what? Even the concept of hell, God is turning his back on you, child. Sending you to hell for not following him. That's turning his back on you. So, but there's other concept of, abominations. Like abomination is really something that is worse than sin. If you look at how it's depicted and what they talk about, or how they define it in the Bible, it's something even worse than just sin. Abomination is totally against God. Um, like a fucking demon or something like it. You're an abomination. That's worse than, just you being a backslider. Da 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 da. We touched on the concept of reprobate. Yes, we did. Um, yeah, so we talked about that, and it kind of gagged them because they didn't know about it, and I'm like, that's what. Yeah, I don't know. It kind of irks me sometimes when people, because the Bible was used as a weapon against me. I made it my fucking business to learn it and understand it. Because if you're going to use it against me, I have to be able to know it so I can rebuttal you. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I have to be able to know the concepts you are using against me in order for me to rebuttal what you're talking about using that tool. Like, I got to be able to say, oh, well, what about this? Like, okay, for example, um, there is, okay, so the anti-homosexual story of Sodom and Gomorrah. You feel what I'm saying? Uh, where they were talking about they were destroying the city because it was so wicked. A lot of people was like, oh, they destroyed um, two cities because of homosexualities. Actually, that's not what the Bible says. The Bible says the cities were wicked, and so wickedness is not just homosexuality. And then when you look at in the Hebrew language of the story of Lot and his daughters. So Lot had angels in his house, his guests in his house, and they were coming to knock on the door. And a lot of times preachers would be like, because the people that was knocking on the door would be like, oh, we want to know them people. We want to know them people in your house, and why you're not bringing them out to us. And even Lot was offering up his daughters. Instead of you messing with these angels that I have, I'll give you my daughters. They are virgins. Even the concept of that, the patriarchy of handing my daughters over to you for you, if you think that they are trying to get these angels to have sex with them, and you are literally giving your daughters up, offering your daughters for sex. The patriarchy in that story that y'all never called out is annoying as fuck, and shows you the power of, the lack of power that women had in this time. And nobody ever is using this as that. Why nobody talking about Lot's daughter? But anyway, but the language that is being used when you think about the translation from Hebrew to English, which we ain't even gonna go into King James and how corrupt that motherfucker was. Um, but even in that story, to know you isn't to have sex with you. It's introduce you, like what it to. We want to know them, bring them out. Even if they're wicked, we can't say that they were trying to have homosexual sex with the fucking angels because they didn't even know who the fuck they were. And angels don't have a fucking gender. So homosexuality is based on gender, right? It's homosexuality is based on the same sex. So if angels don't have a sex, how the fuck they're trying to have sex, homosexual sex with angels that they don't even know the fucking gender to. So what you're talking about doesn't even fucking make sense. And how are you making this a gay thing when it ain't even talking about no fucking gay shit? How did you make this particular story into a gay story? It's so many things that doesn't fucking make sense. And you got to say, but even in that story, there's another sermon that a lot of preachers use that the same exact thing happened. Oh God, I hate that I'm bringing this up and I don't have the exact scripture. I'll have to look it up. But where they use it as a hospitality thing, where somebody is coming to the house and being rude about the guest. And it's the same exact thing that happens with Lot and the angels and the people of Sodom. But they don't preach about that one as an anti-homosexual thing. They preach about that one as a inhospitable thing. Like you're not being hospitable and respectful to the guests of this house. You're being rude. It's not. They don't turn that one into homosexuality. They turn the other one into homosexuality because the two cities were destroyed, and they wanted to make it seem like this is the worst thing that you can do. So many things. When we talk about Sodom and Gomorrah right now, yes, we're talking about just people. How I had to use. I wanted to learn about the Bible, so I can understand, um, so I can talk about it. Diamond knows the word. Check out her Bible Bash podcast. Oh, thank you. So Bible Bash. How Bible Bash work is sometimes they invite people to do a current day breakdown of some of the stories that happens um, in the Bible. And one of my friends allowed me to come on there and talk about Ruth and Naomi. And I talk about it from a Black feminist lens. And that episode, that's actually one of my favorite episodes. I talk about it from the women's point of view in this culture that they were in. Like when you think about them being Moab, they were foreigners. They were coming and marrying into Moab. Like they were coming and found their husbands. They were foreigners in that situation. And we wouldn't even be talking about Ruth. She wouldn't even have no fucking book in the Bible if she wasn't the grandmother of David. You see what I'm saying? Like even the stories that we even learn about all are rooted to men. And we know how patriarchy works. Like we wouldn't even know about Ruth if she wasn't connected to David. Like it would be, and that leads to Jesus. Do you feel what I'm saying? Well, I got to listen to that episode. Yes, it's really. Oh, not to toot my own horn, but it's one of them things that I love to talk about things other than transness, and that's one of the moments where I was like, "Ooh, I really got to shine in this episode because I got to talk about something other than transness," and so I was able to talk about it because they were foreign women, and both of their husbands died. Like both of the daughters. So Orpah was married to Naomi's son, and Ruth was married to Naomi's son. And so when they went through their famine and went through their things, they're left with their mother-in-law. And Naomi is like, y'all can't stay with me. I'm old. Both of my husbands, both of y'all husbands have passed away. I can't give y'all new sons because I'm old, child. So y'all gotta go and find. You go back to where y'all go back to where y'all from because y'all can't stay with me. Because I can't take care of y'all and I ain't gonna create no more sons for y'all. So they weren't doing this stuff they sell Ruth like she was doing this shit out of to loyalty to her motherfucking she was loyal to Naomi. She didn't have no other options. Then deal with her. I need to stay here and deal with my mother-in-law because I can't go back to my home because I've been married and so I'm already used good. So I'm not gonna be fresh and sickening if I go back home. I've already married a foreigner. We already done did the do, so I'm not this purity thing no more. I might as well stay here in Moab with Naomi and because she was a foreigner too. Stay with her and figure it out. And you get what I'm saying? They didn't have now Orpah was like, bitch, fuck it. Once she said, thank you. Orpah was once Naomi was like, bitch, you can't stay with me, child. Y'all need to find y'all some more husbands. Orpah was like, I'm up out of here. I'm up out of here. She went back to wherever she was doing. But but Ruth was like, I'm gonna stay with you, girl. You can go back to I can go back to where we from with you or whatever. I can't remember exactly. But Naomi, where they went, that's where Naomi was from. But this is Naomi's hometown. And so when she comes, she's going through mourning because when Ruth comes, she's going through mourning. So she got on her black clothes. She's in mourning style. You feel what I'm saying? So she coming back and she meeting the niggas in the fucking town that got the coins, that got the status. She meet niggas. And so she went into the wheat, this little area to try to get some food for them to eat or whatever. And she meets one of Naomi's like uncles or cousins or something like that. And he looked at her like, that's a bad bitch over there. What's the see? Da 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 da. And so she goes back to Naomi and tell him like, oh, I think I got a suitor that might kind of like me. And so Naomi was like, all right, bitch, let's get the popping. You need to get up out of these motherfucking morning clothes. You need to put on something sickening. Honey, you've mourned enough, child. You mourned my son enough. We trying to get you some new. We trying to get you somebody new. So put you on something sickening so we can woo him because can be our way into society again. I'm an old bitch. I can't, just like any madam, any old head, your auntie. She's like, I'm an old bitch. I can't. You still young. You still got some time to do whatever. But Boaz couldn't actually just bring her on. Do you see what I'm saying? He actually had another suitor that was better for her, but he was bougie and he didn't fuck with this foreign ass bitch. I don't want to fuck with her. Oh, who is she? Da, 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 da. So he didn't actually pick her. So Boaz ended up being able to pick her, and her working out with Boaz actually allowed her to bring Naomi into Boaz's wealth and marry him and bring Naomi and take care of Naomi for the rest of her life into Boaz's wealth. So anyway, but these was her using her feminine wiles, and this wasn't about loyalty. This was about fucking survival. They want to make Ruth seem, not that she should be seen as bad, but we know how women do what they need to do to get where they need to be within this patriarchal structure of this fucking story. And so, yes, y'all we may not be hearing in the story what she was thinking, but us as women, when we in under these kind of oppression, we make shit work. We know how to make it work to our advantage. We see how it's working now, and we definitely read how it was working for women who are outside of the Bible in other literature. How the Boleyn sisters, is it Boleyn? I can't remember their name. The Boleyn sisters. Y'all remember that movie with Scarlett Johansson and What's her name? Scarlett Johansson and Natalie Portman. Y'all watch that movie, The Bowling Twins, The Bowling Sisters, some shit like that. Now, this is a different era, but all of these ways of being for women, look at Elizabeth I. Women had to figure it out. Women were figuring this stuff out under these heavy systems of oppression. The first writing was done by a woman who was a priestess under oppression. I told y'all about this show many, many times. Go watch the Ascend of Women. There's a documentary. Yes, it's not really black centered, but it's it goes further, it goes far back, like to the Mesopotamia, that shit like that. So watch that. It is stories, those stories that they tell in that show is about, we talk about race a lot, particularly in America, but gender oppression is older. That is, the patriarchy is the grandfather. It's way older. And so we don't talk about it enough, and it's going to be harder to, we talk about fucking race. I don't want to say too much, but we talk about race way, way, way more than we talk about gender. Race shit, that shit just came now. Anne Boleyn, yes, God, I live. Too much, Emily. Come on. The Rick James wig. Yes, I love it. I would call it a Donna Summers. Rick James had like a was like braids and had some little hanging things on it. This is more, Donna Summers, but in red. The Ascend of Women, episode 1. Yes. This sounds shady. I'm okay. Rick James was a motherfucking icon. I'm not offended. I don't look nothing like Rick James, honey. So, but I'm not offended. Yeah, but it's giving me redhead Donna Summers, baby, to me. Anyway, but yes. We see how women throughout our history, the history, the history that we see is written down. We know the African proverb when we talk about, the story is going to be, I don't know that I'm paraphrasing, but we know the African proverb that said the story would be different if the lion was telling the story as opposed to the hunter. I can't remember the exact wording of that African proverb, but it's that we would, how the story is told. Sometimes we get a glimpse of women's story because men are usually the writers. The men, usually there was a lot of times that women weren't even raised to read and write because they didn't fucking need it. You are going to be a courtesan. You're going to be a peasant. You're not going to be anything in society that needs to know how to read and write. So just like black people in America at one point, some of them didn't know how to read and write, so we couldn't tell our stories in that time of what was going on until we got older. Then we started to tell narratives like the Frederick Douglass narrative, and Ida B. Wells was writing her shit. We were able to see what was happening in women's lives because they were starting to write and tell us what the situation that was happening, that these crazy politics were affecting their lives and choices that they have to make. When we think about Maria Antoinette, when we think about just different people, even queens in Africa. And I keep referencing them English ass bitches, but there was a queen mother in I think it's South Africa. I'm not 100% sure, but every fucking leader that would come into power, she would get them killed in Africa. But I'm saying a lot of motherfucking English bitches because I'm from America, so I know a lot about European history because of racism and colonization. So sometimes that's the only reference that I sometimes have. Catherine the Great, yes, God, her crazy ass fucking husband in Russia in the Golden Age, yes, but sometimes we don't tell their story from their point of view, and it's not until now that we can go back and look at this kind of stuff. So sometimes when we analyze things like the Bible story in the Bible, sometimes you got to analyze it from shit that was going on. She wasn't trying to be loyal to motherfucking, it wasn't about loyalty. This was about survival. We know women sometimes when we out here on the streets and we out here in these systems that we have to stick together and be in community with each other to survive. I've been homeless and had to sleep on a trans woman's couch. I've been with my sisters and we out and about having to fight niggas and having to stick with each other, having to do. We know how women work when it comes to protecting ourselves, or look at they culturally they don't like this movie, but just think it on just a story level. Memoirs of a Geisha. That's just the story. I know that its depiction in the culture they kind of don't like it, but just the story, just on the surface level of the story. Those women were trying to help them young girls survive. They were trying to get them in a status level and keep the status of the geisha so we cannot be thrown away and we can actually do what we need to do, and we're working together to try to do this. And those inner community relationships are important, even the clandestine ones, the one that we don't really know about. And so we don't get to see the stories all the time, and sometimes we'll get a glimpse at what's happening. For example, Dr. James Berry, the trans man doctor who did the second successful cesarean in the world. The second, there was one that happened before this, but it was the first successful cesarean that happened in South Africa. And it was a trans man doctor who transitioned early because he was able to sneak and get into school because he took the name of his cousin, James Berry. Then he lived as a man and started to being a physician. And then he got caught freaking with his boss because the boss found out that he was actually anatomically a girl. And so they was having their little fun. And so they had to I don't know what it's called, where you get transferred because all of this shit was happening, where they was getting caught having sex and all this kind of stuff. They had to move him back to Britain. And he died years later. I think he died when he was like in his 80s. Nobody knew that it was actually a trans man. They thought he was a cisgender man. And he asked them to not uncover his body. They were instructed to not uncover his body because he didn't want them to find out that he was trans. And he knew that they would if they uncovered his body when he passed away. And so he gave them specific instructions not to uncover his body, but they did it anyway. He told them to just bury, but they did it anyway and found out that he was a trans. And so that was a whole different thing. But we know how the relationship should work because because we can look back and see how these things can play out because hindsight is 2020. We can figure it out by what we know about what people do on the down low, what people, you get what I'm saying, how people go, how trans people in this time period, how far they are willing to go to be stealth. So we can only imagine what was going on. When you see writings from James Berry talking about the relationship with him, and you get what I'm saying, but they can't talk about it openly. You got to read between the lines. That is just something that we have to do. I think that a matriarchal society will function better. I don't know why men feel so intimidated by women. I think women are more of the organization and social systems by nature. I don't know. I think it would be more interesting, definitely. And I hate to use animals as examples, but there was a study done of chimpanzees and bonobos. Genetically, they're really, really similar, but the difference is there's a river that separated them. I can't remember what the name of the river is, but there's a river that for centuries separated them, so their genetics went just slightly different direction. But the difference is chimps are patriarchal and bonobos are matriarchal. There is a head girl instead of a head boy. They are way more violent. Chimps are way more violent, and they rape the girls. It's way more toxic in their social hierarchy. But over here in the bonobos camp, it's way more calm. They usually use sex to to calm conflicts. They're more intimate. Look, there's a study between chimpanzees and bonobos. Look that up, y'all. It's really, really interesting. And yes, I know we are not animals, but it's interesting to see how that matriarchal hierarchy changes the dynamic of how less violent and how the society works in those two very similar, very similar animals, the bonobos and chimpanzees. And so look into that study. It's a study that's really, really quite interesting. And I know we're not animals. I hate people to be like, oh, there's um oh, there's gay animals. Yeah, there's homosexualities, but we not animal in animals, but we not animals. And we shouldn't have to I shouldn't have there shouldn't have to be homosexual animals for you to accept homosexuality in me, motherfucker. Are there animals that change genders? Yes, it is. The koi fish, fucking amphibians. It's tons of shit. But it don't matter if they are or they're not, motherfucker. I am. I'm changing my fucking gender. I shouldn't have to. It shouldn't have to be examples. We are a whole different fucking species of something. We can do something different, and we don't need animals to prove just because animals do it. It should be okay. I don't need to fucking give you no fucking examples, bitch. Just because I don't need to, it don't need to be no examples of homosexuality in the animal kingdom for you to accept me, bitch. Fuck you. I'm doing something new and different. I don't care if it's no animals doing it, bitch. I'm doing something new, and that should be enough. But yes. So yes, that's what we talked about on the episode this week. Being turned, are we turned over to a reprobated mind, and us discussing that in that kind of way. And so, yeah, I enjoyed it. Make sure y'all check it out. But it's still a patriarchal story at the head of tail. Absolutely, you can't get around it. We're only paying attention to Ruth because she is the great grandmother of David, who later on, you get what I'm saying, which leads to Jesus. This is, this is just, it's patriarchy. Y'all like the video, please. And Amy got to the main topic. Child, ain't that right? Make sure y'all thumbs up if y'all are watching. Oh, okay. So anyway, I haven't asked y'all how y'all doing. How are y'all doing? Um, I am having a wonderful week. I have signed some contracts that have been very lucrative. I have gotten all my packages on time or early. I have, oh, I bought a new game for y'all. Look, um, it's a new card game. Never have I ever. I know y'all play this game, but this is the card game version. That I thought would be interesting for us to, on the last 30 minutes, if we ain't got nothing to talk about, play that. What else has been going on? I have anything good? Anything? Um, yeah, I got a raise at work, a 30% raise. Hmm. And my workload don't change for that 30%. Hmm. I'm happy for that. How about that? Huh. Um, how come Z decided to leave the show? Can you spill the tea on that? By the way, I really like the new cast member. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, she on that particular show that he left, um, Mia spilled the tea. Um, if you um if you it was some drama, but if you pay attention to what Mia says, you clock what the drama was towards the end. Um, basically, and this is my interpretation of what it was. There was an episode after we came back from break. So every year we break all of October, and we don't really talk to each other because we talk to each other every damn week all the time. And so we take a break from each other in October, break from March's Play. We just take a break. Um, things seem tense with Z in the last few episodes. Yes. So if y'all remember in October, right in the beginning of October is when Dave Chappelle had his little bullshit closer comes out. So it was this big Dave Chappelle thing. And a lot of times, and this is speculation, but kind of not speculation for me. I'm telling you the story from my point of view. A lot of times, if there is some type of weird or hotepish thing that's happening in Z, we're able to talk it through, and we see where you get we see I'll be able to talk him through to not be Hotep. But I think that he has a predisposition to be on some Hotep stuff, I think. And so sometimes you gotta see where his mind is at. And so this whole time that the Dave Chappelle thing happened, we are not talking to each other because we are on break. So when I come back from break, I'm like, yo, now y'all know we've been on break since this Dave Chappelle thing happened. So, but I don't want to give, because in my mind, Dave Chappelle is using this. Not that he needs, he's Dave Chappelle, so he doesn't need clout, but he spent fucking 45 minutes talking shit about trans people. So he clearly feels like he's using this as it, if he hadn't said the shit about transness, would we be talking about it like we are to what we're doing? So I felt like I don't want to give Dave Chappelle stuff a lot of light. I said, but we are a trans podcast that talks about current events and culture. We got to at least talk about it. So my intention on um, us coming back, we were supposed to talk about Dave Chappelle for like 10, 15 minutes. Y'all know, if you know the structure of the show, we have something, we have a, oh, that's a whole other topic, hotepery. You have to look that up. We have a so we usually spend like 10, 15 minutes talking about some bullshit, just normal stuff. And then we each one of us have a topic of for the rest of the show. So that was supposed to be our bullshit conversation. So I thought going in our preparation for recording that episode that all three of us were on the same page about Dave. But I realized in the conversation that they were on Dave's side. And I didn't know what to do with it. Like in the moment, if you pay attention to how I was talking about it, I was like, whoa, like I'm asking more questions than kind of talking about Dave. I'm asking them how they get to this conclusion. So, but really it was Z. Mia kind of, they gagged you and you could tell, yes, you were so loud. So yes, I'm glad that y'all picked it up. They gagged me. Now, Mia, if you pay attention to what Mia was saying, Mia was kind of on the fence. She was kind of back and forth. But Mia is that type of person. Mia is that I don't know how to say it. Like if you say something to Mia and it sounds reasonable, it's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go with what sounds reasonable. But then you say something else, she'll go over here. It's she's on the fence. But I was gagging like, oh, y'all is you are this. And so I am a producer of the show. So it's a good a centrist. Kinda, yeah. Kinda. Mutable. Somebody who's very mutable. Um, and so I was gagged just like everybody else was gagged. But I just let it go on. We weren't supposed to talk about Dave that long. And so it was kind of just going. And it didn't make sense to me. I didn't understand. I think he said something along the lines that like he was just happy that they were in the conversation, that we were in the conversation. It was all kind of strange to me, but I was just letting it happen, just letting the conversation go on because it's good conversation. We are not in the same. We're usually all on the same page, and we are not on the same page. And I did not know that this conversation was um I didn't know this is where this conversation was going. So I just left it in, and it is what it was. So of course there was a backlash. There was people were like, what the hell is Z talking about? People were sending us messages on Instagram like, what the fuck is Z on? Like, what is he talking about? Like, what? Like, cisgender people, trans people. It was just a bunch of people just sending it like, what is going on? Like they didn't they was like, what? They did not understand it. And instead of him explaining, he kind of was just kind of doubling down on it. And if y'all remember, Z is very uncomfortable with that. He's very uncomfortable with that type of him being held accountable for his opinions. If it's in that weird kind of anti, I don't want to say anti-trans, but anti I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but it just was weird. It was strange. And so, but if you remember back in the early, he doubled down because he was resolute on his opinions. Yeah. And so he kept he and Z is more passive aggressive than Mia. Mia is much more aggressive with her opinions. If she feels strongly about it, she's much more aggressive about it. And Z is more passive aggressive. He'd be like, well, that's just what I feel. And da. He's more like that. He has more passive aggressive antics. And if y'all remember earlier in their relationship, on the show, there was an incident where he had when Mia would get clocked, he would purposely walk away from her so he wouldn't get clocked. And it was just some real internalized transphobia stuff that was happening in their relationship. There was a small backlash about that, and he was very uncomfortable with it. And so I think, and we also were recording in person. And so there would be a lot of times that Mia would call me and talk to me or bring up problems that they were having in their relationship in the beginning of our recording. Like we would talk about it before we start recording. And so I think it became a thing where he was letting her know not to talk about their relationships to me, not to talk about their relationship on the show. And I think because she's one of them stand by your man type of something, which is okay to be, I think she adhered to that. But it's also when there is something wrong going on, it's hard for you to talk about it if you don't have somebody outside of the situation to talk about it. So it's kind of isolated. So anyway, that happened. And so when the backlash happens, Every time we record, two things happen. They didn't show up for a recording, like didn't show up at all, which is unlike them. Sometimes they'll hit me, usually, not sometimes, usually they'll hit me up and say, oh, we can't record today. We got something to do. Can we record Monday? We usually record on Sunday. Can we record Monday? Or they reschedule, but this time they didn't show up at all with no warning, which is very strange. In the backlash, Z wasn't responding to people. He would be like, that's your opinion. You have a right to your opinion. He wouldn't be rebuttaling with any kind of explanation. He just would be, that's your opinion. But Mia would be responding in a combative way to people. The point you made about who they got smoked for and who they took the conversation to a whole new place. Okay, wait. Are you moving ahead of me? I'm glad that was all recorded because I want you to understand how everything got weird. And so Mia would be the one in the comments on Twitter and on Instagram rebutting people. So remember, on the show, she was on the fence, but in the backlash, she was protecting her dude, asking questions. Why you did this? Very combative questions. And so in the comments, sometimes I would say something too, as myself, like, no, that doesn't make sense. And so there is a combative nature that happens in the comments on YouTube. You feel what I'm saying? On IG. And so there was this weird tension. This is not new to me and Mia. Sometimes she says something that don't make sense and we'll go back and forth. Nothing. Me and Mia have been friends for years. But it was a weird tension about this backlash. And so each time we record, if you look at the recording after that, Z would be kind of quiet. He started to not participate as much and have very, very dry conversation. It would be like pulling teeth to get him to talk about it. But he was also throwing jabs at the audience, like throwing like undercover jabs at the audience, like just saying like really not at me, nothing about me, just about, you know, if you don't deal with the audience or don't agree with the audience, they think they just different little jabs that he would be throwing at the audience. And sometimes it just would be weird. And sometimes I have to come and clean it up because I can tell he's just being passive aggressive, not to me, but to the audience because of that backlash. He was in his feelings about that backlash. Period. He was in his feelings, and I could see it. And so then so the week after that, then you shook up the table and brought a well-read transmasculine person. Now wait. This is why I shook up the table. So a week after that, so the Dave Chappelle, then we had another one. And then we had one that they didn't show up, and I had to do the Joel interview. And then there was another one. So that next one, after the Joel interview, we have we are talking, and we are having our show. And to make a long story short, I am asking them questions about whatever subject we are talking about. I'm asking them questions. And Z is out of his feelings. He is now, I guess, because that's been a couple of episodes ago, he actually is being back to his normal self now, and he's just doing his thing. And but we are talking about something. What were we talking about? Because y'all don't get to, I don't air this episode at all. Because I had to cut it off. What did he say? What the fuck were we talking about? Oh, we were talking about pronouns being disrespectful. I can't, it was a more, it wasn't as 101 as that sounds. But Z was basically saying he doesn't feel sometimes with his family, he lets them slide and let them make it with the wrong pronouns because he just don't want to battle. Now, somebody in public, yes, but his family sometimes he just doesn't want to battle in that regards. And I understood that because when I was younger, I was like that too. It changed as I got older, but when I was younger, I kind of gave them more grace in regards to that. And then Mia had said something about I think it's disrespectful. It don't matter if I Mia says something that indicates that she does not understand the question that I'm asking. And in my mind, Mia is like, I don't know if y'all get this reference because I'm old, but Three's Company, Mia is the Chrissy of the group. And so sometimes she can be ditzy and it comes off as funny sometimes. We like, Mia, what are you talking about? And it comes, can you take that out? It's funny, it's comic relief. She can be ditzy sometimes. And so so sometimes I've always been in this situation with her where she won't understand something that I she will misunderstand something that I'll ask or that I'll say, and I'll have to explain it, or and then once I explain it, the situation is over. But I think it's because of the tension that was happening. Mia clicks in a negative way, and my look, I'm a hood bitch, and when you click on me, the hood bitch comes out. And so when she clicked on me, I care for you. You are like my daughter. So I grace you once. I'm going to grace you once. I'm going to let you get this little click off. But then I'm like, okay, no, that's not what I mean. Very calm. And I'm talking about the thing. And she keeps interrupting me with a correction that has nothing to do with what I'm trying to explain to her. And I'm like, okay, this I was and so I'm trying to explain it to her, and Z is like, Mia, why are you going on and on with this? Like, even Z is like, why are you going on and on with this doesn't make sense. This doesn't, like, why are you she's explaining it to you and you are going on and on and on and on. Why are you doing this? But she was just going at my head like, do and so I say, do you understand what I'm saying now? Because I'm literally trying to be graceful and explain it. And oh, this is what it was. I said intimate. I said the word intimate. So when you think of intimate, what does intimate mean? Sometimes people think intimate means like sexual or romantic, but intimate, the meaning of intimate is not always romantic or sexual. Sometimes intimate means small, quaint, sometimes it means personal. So you can have a personal conversation with somebody that you're not romantically or into or sexually involved with. An intimate conversation can be the meaning. There's different connotations of intimate, and so I was explaining to her the word intimate because she was explaining to me that she wasn't close. It could mean close. It could mean that. Um, or just personal, like a one-on-one conversation can be an intimate conversation. I can have an intimate conversation with my coworker, and it just means that it's one-on-one and quiet and close. Like, ooh, let's, hey, come here. Da, 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 da. It doesn't mean it's romantic or sexual at all. Um, and so she kept correcting me, like, I don't mean it just in a family way. I know I'm not saying that. I'm talking about intimate conversation. But anyway, that's a whole. So I finally get to the point where I'm saying what I mean and explain intimate. And she says, and I was like, do you understand now? And she said, do I need to understand? So it was over for me from there. So what, because she had already been getting too much for me. And at that point, I was like, yo, I'm about to get off this recording. We gotta record next week because mm, in in that moment, I had got to my wits end. And if I would have continued, I would have called her all kind of uneducated, stupid ass, dense ass bitch. I would have disrespected her in a way that I would have regretted later on. So I need to stop this conversation. We'll come back next week. Have a wonderful day. Let's end this. And so we ended it. And then she sent me a message right after. Right after. But when I'm angry, don't send me no fucking message. And Mia can be very passive aggressive. And so she sent in the message, I thought we was better than this. And um, I thought we was better than this. And we've been friends for too long. And if you so mature, you should why you had to cut the thing off and so, da, 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 da. So you're pressing the bear. You are pressing the bear, and you're being passive aggressive even in this moment now. And I was like, actually, it's actually mature for me to cut that fucking thing off because I would have cussed your ass out. It's actually mature for me to do that because I would have said something that would hurt your feelings that would have been true. And it would hurt your feelings, and I would probably would have said something that we might not could recover from. So it's good for me to take a break and stop talking to you and leave this shit the fuck alone. And I come back when I am calm. That is actually mature. And she says, wow. And I say, yeah, this is a wow fucking moment. And so a week later, we come back and then we explain, we get back to, hey, so what happened last week? We are all calm. So what happened last week? And Z says, Diamond, you actually just saw the real Mia. And so Mia says, gag, because she didn't know she didn't know Z was about to say that. We have to deal with this with Mia all the time. People in her personal life, she just never does it to you because there's some level of like auntie motherly respect that she just never does to you. But that's how she does to us all the time. Us meaning her and meaning him and her sister. And so I was like, I see her do it to you all the time. Y'all don't see it because y'all the listeners, but it's a lot of times that she will misinterpret something Z says, and they will spend 5 to 10 minutes of him explaining to her, and it would be this whole argument that didn't need to happen because she just misinterpreted and wouldn't accept the explanation and would keep going and going and going. But she never did it to me, and in the moment she had done it to me. And so that tension of that show, the tension of the backlash, the next episodes, because that shit was happening, I hit up my friend, who I always have great conversations with, trans man Jonathan. And I say, hey, yo, come and do the show with me. I want to see how the vibe goes. And it was supposed to be all 4 of us, but they didn't show up. This was a time that they didn't show up. So me and Jonathan did an introduction episode. The white mama in her be coming out. Definitely. No, for real. there's tactics, social tactics that I see that she does that are really bad. And so I bring Jonathan on and we have to do an episode by ourselves. And it works out. Jonathan, I've been friends with Jonathan for years and we have amazing conversations. Only reason why he wouldn't have been one of the ones that I picked early on is because early on I was really dedicated to having an in-person session with people. So they had to be in Houston and had to come to my house and we record because there is a very different energy that you get when you are in person. And so when Jonathan comes on for the actual episode with all 4 of us, Z is very quiet, very very, it's like pulling teeth with his subject he hasn't researched. It's just what it is, which has always been a problem from the beginning. It's very rare that they research the topic. They'll bring it up, but they won't research it, and I have to do the labor of making a discussion of it, and so I don't have to do that with Jonathan. And so maybe that episode that it was just me, Z, and Mia, me, Jonathan, and Mia, Z stepped down, and he didn't tell me any what the issues was. He said he just wasn't passionate about it. But if you pay attention later on in the conversation, Mia spills the tea. She says all the backlash that happens, all the it would come home, and it would he was vulnerable, him being vulnerable, and he just couldn't take the response. Um, no, I don't think he made it very clear that it wasn't about Jonathan. I actually think Jonathan being here let Z off the hook. He was like, "Oh, I have a masculine replacement." But I said that. I said that's why I brought Jonathan on, because I felt a vibe that was weird, and I much rather have be prepared than to you know, it just me and Mia, and then I have to scramble to see what's going on. But at the end of the day, regardless, whoever quit, I'm gonna do the show by myself. If I have to, I don't want to, but if I have to, I done did an episode alone before. Yeah, I just always had that. And so, since we're remote anyway, Jonathan was just a better. Jonathan is I'm gonna say a better fit, but is a natural. Jonathan is a great talker. He's well read. He has the masculine experience. He has the train experience. Um, we have nuanced conversation every time we talk, and so he's just good at what I want them to do. Um, and so I was like, Mia, do you feel some kind of way? Are you going to end up leaving too? And Mia was like, no, I'm good. He's the one that has a problem with. I'm okay. And so where we are now is me, Mia, and Jonathan. And so that's a long way to say the reason he just couldn't handle the backlash. And so, I mean, also sometimes it's better that couples don't work together. I think that they actually did better than what I thought, but I think it's because how Mia is with her relationships. Mia is much less, um, is more compromising than me across in some things. Yes, and everything happens for a reason. Yeah, everything. My goal. Um, my goal. Of course, I got to make new goals. My goal was I never expect to be super popular because of the type of content that I do. I do pro black, pro feminist, pro trans. I'm not expecting my really progressive leftist mindset to be popular. I'm not. I think moderate opinions are can be popular, but where I am on a political scale, I'm expecting to not be as popular for as some other things. I don't shuck and jive for the cis heads. A lot of popular trans women they shuck and jive for the cis heads. I don't do that. There's a certain level of integrity that I'm not going to compromise just to be popular. I make enough money to take care of my bills, and so I'm okay with that. So I don't expect to be popular, but so my goals are very, modest. And so for me, my goal was to reach a half a million by the time we got to 5 years, and we are over that. We are over as far as views. We are well over that. So we're like in 0.7. Um, we're at like 700,000, almost 700,000. And love listens. Um, I wanted to get a contract on a streaming platform. I got a contract with Spotify in our second year, 1919, 2019. No, 1990, 2019 in our second year. And so I wanted to hit 5 years. We are at four. We're working next October will be our 5th year anniversary. Um, I wanted to hit 30,000 in 1 month. I did that a few times in 2019. Um, all the small goals that I had, um, yeah, I've reached them. So now I'm making new goals. So yeah, we've been featured in a local Houston magazine. Y'all haven't seen it yet, but if you are from Texas, this might be important. If you're from some other place, you might not. But Equality Texas, Equality Texas, which is like the big political, the biggest political LGBT organization here in Texas. They just gave me an award for the work that I do in regards to that. So I'm doing something right. So these are my goals, child. Um, I'm able to pay them, like actually pay them for being hosts. I'm able to, you know what I'm saying? Like they are my workers. Like they get that's the position that they are. It's a business, and I if I lost everything else, like if I lost everything, I can actually now I would be very, very tight in money, but I actually can live off my podcast. It can literally pay every one of my major bills. And so along with paying them for their position. So that's my goal. Like that was my goal. My goal was to create a new platform, and that's what I did. Um, y'all were in USA Today, a freaking crossword puzzle. That that was so random, but I meant that. Yes. Um, we've been featured on all the black platforms that I know of, that I follow. Griot, The Root. I got an article in Essence. Um, yeah, yeah, it's been a good ride. That's my shit. So it's gonna do what it do. Regardless, I like consistency. I hate change when it comes to like stuff. But yeah, but if I'm adaptable as well. I'm a Pisces. I'm adaptable as well. Thanks, money. And even y'all, like even the Batty Brigade, like just having a conglomerate like that is fucking. That's also the lucky. I found y'all on the route like 2 years ago. See, I love that. The lucky. This is the luckiest shit. This is how you know you walking in your purpose. Let me tell you how this works. So when I decided to create a podcast, when you create something, if you're any type of planning motherfucker, you do research about what you're trying to do. Research on what you need to create it. What's what niche you can fill. What's all the stuff about creating this thing. And so I start listening to. I searched Black feminist podcast, Black queer feminist podcast, Black da 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 da. So the people that I found were Queer Walk, Tea with Queen and Jay, Inner Whole Uprising. So those three is what I found. And when I listened to them, I heard black girls. I heard feminist content. I heard just girls that I was like, ooh, these are my type of bitches. So I started listening to them. Lo and behold, I started listening to Queer Walk. Money is the host of the show, has been a subscriber of mine for years. And like, whoa, I'm following somebody who is doing this, and this is my type of bag. So wow, I have a connection to this person. Then T with Queen and Jay, it basically all the motherfuckers that I looked up to as goals in the podcast sphere, who I was like, oh, these are my people. They fucking embraced me and was like, oh, come on. Let's do it. We end up being featured at for 2 years in a row. We figured out a way how we all can be featured at motherfucking South by Southwest. Money had us as guests, us as, you know what I'm saying? They had filled, I don't know what y'all did. Did y'all fill out the application or something? They had got a spot on the main stage of the podcast era, and then they used me as one Queer Walk of the Week, and then they had T with Queen and J on as a guest. So we all three of us is at this event being featured on this big old thing. And we did it basically the same thing the next year, where we all are sharing this space, where we all are just getting this platform. It was fucking amazing. It was fucking good. So I just lucked up and found a crew of Black women podcasters that I was already listening to, that just so happened to have a connection to me, or they were politically on the same page that I was. So that was fucking lucky. I would never have been, it never would have grew as faceted as it did without them. And then another lucky, sometimes shit, you just got to be on your fucking path and shit will just happen. For example, The Read hosted by Kid Fury. This motherfucker and Crystal. Somebody wrote a letter into them and said, yo, a trans woman, do y'all know any trans podcasts? Blah, 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 blah. At the time, there were no Black trans podcasts. There was none. When I researched, there was no Black trans podcast. It's some now, but when I first started, it was none. In 2017, it was none. You search Black trans podcast, nothing came up. It was white trans people. And so somebody had sent a letter, and The Read read the letter, and they didn't have any trans podcasts Black trans podcasts that they were listening to. But because they read the letter, everybody who already listened to us was adding Kid Fury, adding him, saying, "Oh, y'all should listen to podcast. Y'all should listen to March of Play." And Kid Fury retweeted. It was actually Tony. He be in here sometime. Lyrical. Excuse me. It was actually Tony, and he retweeted Tony's. And when he read, that's how crazy you know Kid Fury's brand is. When he retweeted, we got so many new listeners that just from that retweet, I could see in our numbers, like boom, like a blow up just from the retweet. Then the next week on the show, because of the response of people saying March is Plate, he actually mentions it on the show. That one day I had like 37,000 listens. That one day. When he first mentioned it, it went from, like 400 or 500 a day, and then it boomed up to 14, just from 14,000 from the retweet, and then boom up to 37,000 when he mentioned us on the show. It was crazy. That's how I discovered you guys. See? And it was like, whoa. And then people just came. And I was like, damn. Literally my phone died because when it happened, I was asleep. Because my phone was buzzing so much, my phone died. I found you through the read too. Been listening to you for 3 years now and happy to be a part of your Patreon. Thank you so much. That is actually literally how we sustain. I look forward to the future. Thank you. Thank you so much. One of them was mine. Work. As it should be. Come on through. But this is also shows you the power. They had to shout you, Diamond, because they blew up those mentions. Right. So the people who already listened, the reason why he had to shout is because they kept saying, March's Plate, March's Plate, March's Plate. And for me, to me, it goes to show you how if you use your platform, you can shine the light on people doing the work. Because, if that hadn't happened, I mean, how many people would have not even known the work that we're doing over here? I wouldn't say that it was intentional that they did it, but but the fact that they were I won't say forced, but just the fact that they did it, it just shined a big ass light. So that's why it's important to use. If you got platforms, it's important to not only you as a person to let people know what you're listening to and let people know, because it was important that they were mentioning us, but also that this person with this big ass platform decided to say something. These type of things is important for Black, queer, content creators, because we're not going to have the same kind of exposure as other people. So you got to make sure you let other people know that you're supporting these people. What else ended up happening? And then Terrell, I got to shout out Terrell Star. It was a lot of times in 2019, Terrell and Aria, because of Terrell and Aria, I made $96,000 a year in 2019. So not from my podcast, but because I was getting my last little big sickening sum of money from, I don't make that now either, but I was getting a big sickening sum of money from Bath and Body Works because I was a store manager. So that put me at 64,000 because I had got tons of bonuses. So that put me at 64,000. My consulting gigs, that's me doing panels, me consulting anything that deals with me, that people paying me to do stuff. I don't know how much money I made in that, but all the money outside of Bath and Body Works added up to about 40, 46. No, about 30 something, about something 30, like 25 to 30 something, whatever the difference between 64 and 96. So whatever that difference is, 30, 25, 30 something, whatever that added up from the podcast to my consulting gigs, all that added up to an extra, 25,000, 30,000. And add that to my money that I was making at Bath and Body Works, I had made $96,000 a year. I have never made that since then. I hadn't, because I quit Bath and Body Works. But I have never made that much money in a whole year ever in my life. And so one of those reasons was Terrell and Aria. Aria at Transcultural District, her programming is fucking amazing. when it comes to, we did the Winter Gala. If y'all remember, we did the Winter Gala, which was fucking amazing, where she was showcasing trans artists. And so gigs like that, like she would, any kind of hosting gigs, she would have me on. Um, Terrell would give me art, like he's the one who got me to connect with Essence. He also got me another connect with the conversationalist. Conversationalists, they pay really well for articles. Usually articles be paying you like $250, $300. If that, around 250, 200 or 250. But honey, conversationalists gave you a Q coin. They gave me like a G. So with all the stuff that I was doing, um, money got me a $2,500 gig at Syracuse University. Um, and then right after that was that 2000? Everybody, I did a gig at University of Texas. I just start getting these big ass fucking gigs. Somebody had put us in Marsha's play in their syllabus. Money did that too. But Dr. Oh God, Dr. What is his name? I hate that I'm forgetting it. His name is Will, but I can't think of his last name. Will Mosley, something like that. Don't kill me. I'm sorry, but Dr. Mosley or Mosby, I can't remember his last name. Um, they have put he had put us in his syllabus, and every time we were getting we were getting so many people linked to schools. Like in our analytics, I would see links to schools. Like I would click the link and I couldn't get in it because I wasn't a student. I couldn't see what they were talking about because I wasn't a student. That was annoying, but it was good because I could tell somebody was putting me in their syllabus. Then I got that gig at Stanford. I got to speak at Stanford, which was fucking bomb. Dr. Melissa Brown. You were going to have to change the title of the video, child. Yes. um, yeah, it's just these things started to happen. Shit that I didn't plan. I was just trying to, do what it is. Every time I teach, I put the battery in the syllabus. Yes, that's what you're supposed to do. Bring us in that motherfucking academic. And that's the shit that I'm proud of, actually. That makes me more proud than like any other kind of feature. When you in the school, it feels, I don't know, it feels like, you know, because of the archives, like you just gonna be in there. I don't know. It feels like it's more it's you have more potential to be permanent. Like when people call me and I'm a part of their dissertation, it feels good because that article is gonna go somewhere. It's gonna be in some peer reviewed journal or and that's also, that's a part of the legacy. I've cited y'all in quite a few papers. Yes, come on, Jay. I love it. I love it. That is actually what makes me proud. That's what makes me that brings me joy. I like doing, I like a nasty feature in a magazine or something, but that type of legacy is what I really want. In not that I value academia, but I value that kind of archival work. I kind of one of the things that are my pet peeves as somebody who, thinks of themselves as a historian is is I can't find the information or I don't have connections to the information that I want. For example, let me give you an example. So recently, I had a conversation with Dr. Joy James at Williamson College. I think I told you about her and her theory, the captive maternal theory, and all that kind of stuff. So I sent her an email because honey, I'm that type of bitch. I don't care. And so she was being interviewed and she talked about Asada Shakur running away from home and living with a trans woman. And she just threw it out there. Now the subject wasn't this, but she just threw it out there. Like that was some nothing as information. I'm like, wait, to my trans ears, uh the the legend that is Asada Shakur was partly raised by a trans woman. Bring it back. You got to bring that back. So I went and found her school email and hit her up. Like, what the hell are you talking about? We need Dr. Joy James on March's Play. Honey, I'm trying to work it out. But she was like, yeah. And she gave me the email to her child, not Asada Secure Cloud, but a person that she helped raise that would know the story that Ashada helped raise. Dr. Kipper Kipling, something. She gave me his email. But when I hit him up, he didn't respond. So that's fucking annoying. But that's what I mean by it's kind of annoying that I can't get to the information in the way that I want to. I just have a BA in psychology. And super, super simple. Nothing. And I don't like school. um, I'm studious, but I didn't like my school. So yes. So he didn't respond to me. He didn't respond to my email to him. So I'm stuck in the situation where I can't get the information that I want. But somebody did respond to me. She also gave me somebody else's number who is doing a book about the women's prison during the time of the 60s that had Afeni Shakur, Tupac's mother. When she was in prison. And so how they were organizing in the prison during the Stonewall Rebellion. And he has tons of information about that. So when that come out, he's gonna come on the show. Me and him already talked about it. He's gonna come on the show and talk about that. So in that regard, I'm talking about I'm annoyed by the lack of information that we have. And so 50, 60, 70 years from now, however many years from now, I don't want us, people who are doing the work now, particularly anybody that I care about, I think their work is powerful. But looking at myself, I don't want them wondering about my story. I don't want them wondering about what I was thinking, what I was doing, what I was saying in this time when they look back on it, I don't want them wondering. I want it to be well archived. I want it to be I want you to be able to find me. That's what I want. I don't have children. I'm probably not going to have children. And so how are you going to find me? And so that's important to me. Very, very important to me. So that's where, that's why the school stuff is important. Documentation, and that's why I'm trying to get this book out. Yeah. You did. Is that conversation up somewhere? With Dr. Joy? No. That was a no storage of semen no. So no. No. I'm talking about like not just passing my genes on. I don't care about that. I'm talking about actually raising a child that will have my stories, will have not just passive genes. I'm talking about because storing your semen would just you just passing your genes. I'm talking about actually raising a child or having a child that knows who you are, that's able to share your story if somebody come to them about you. Look at how when we think of Malcolm X and his daughters, how they, now when we see Malcolm X, honey, documentaries on Malcolm X, Summer. You have a loose estimation for that the book, Summertime. Maybe. I'm not in the place now, but maybe. You never know. Maybe. As far as adoption. Maybe. Maybe. I'm not dead, so we don't know what's gonna happen. but but right now I can't I gotta deal with what is. The number of people who have grew up on your YouTube videos, now you got plenty of children down. Yeah, that's a good thing. It's a blessing. Surrogacy, tons of options. I did a video talking about this. It's called something about surrogacy, the potential of surrogacy. I can't remember. I did a video about this, and you raised plenty of folks. Yeah, thank you. Come on, 13. Gary Trapjaw. What was your mama thinking about when you was watching videos? That always amazes me when somebody is like, "Oh, I started watching you when I was 11 or 13 or 12, and now I'm 23, 24, 25." I'm like, because it doesn't seem that far away from my perspective. It doesn't seem that long ago, but it really is. I'm like, damn. Oh. Many times, adopted kids are more grateful than biological children. So the problem with adoption, I don't know. It's the same thing with me being a teacher. When I it's changing now that I get older, but when I was younger, I wanted to be a teacher. Money, your ass got me feeling like maybe that was a good decision, not to be a teacher. But but when I was younger, I wanted to be a teacher because I thought teacher. I just thought my experiences with my teachers, some of them, not all of them, but the good ones, I they come in my brain so often. It just tells me how important they were. As there's things that I would not be if it wasn't for my teacher. So I thought that that was an important job, even though it was underpaid. Um, but as a teacher, I wanted to be a teacher. And so, but when I transitioned, I was hearing stories about trans people transitioning and being fired and being like, there was this thing about we're freaks and honey, do we want those kind of freaks around our kids? Like there was this really weird ass pedophilia. Um, they wouldn't say that directly, but that kind of is the subtext of what they're talking about. Do we want these kind of freaks around our kids? And I didn't want to have to deal with that in school as a trans person. I didn't want to have to deal with that. And so I was like, ooh, I need to pick another job. And so being a teacher was off the table. Um, and so I kind of think about that when it comes to adoption. Like all the stuff that I hear cisgender people having to go through with adopting kids. And I'm like, do I want to have to go with that and be trans? And it's so extra. I'm just starting the process to foster and adopt my first classes on 27. Yeah, so that process, how does that work? And Texas is so transphobic that it just that's the only negative about adoption. Are you scared? Yeah, well, how does that process? Um, yeah, I don't know. It just seems like, do I want to have to deal with that shit? I'm in Ohio. Ohio is kind of on the fence, and when it comes to liberal and conservative, and then also, I don't know. As a trans person, I have Trump. I don't know if this is a word, but I'm just gonna say it. I have like I don't know. I don't know how to articulate this yet because it's just coming in my brain. But like economic trauma, where I have a fear of I don't know when I'm gonna be homeless. I ain't been homeless in fucking since 2007. But there always is a fear like, ooh, while I have been stable for all these years, because of the trauma of my past, I'm always in this what if mode about um, my stability. I'm always like, ooh, what if this happened? What if this happened? What if, you know, I'm always scared like that. So it makes me hesitant about children because of all of that. Teachers don't get paid nearly enough as they should, and administrators treat teachers like crap, and administrators make all the money while teachers do all the work but get peanuts compared to them. Facts, facts, definitely. Thank you, Miss Polk. Thank you so much. That makes me wonder what will come of all these YouTube videos 30 years from now. How will the world archive them? And will they be forgotten? So, one of my publisher is out of British Columbia in Canada, University of British Columbia, and a part of my book. How can I explain the structure of my book? This is very intentional. So I am sharing stories. I'm sharing the stories of some of my I'm sharing my stories of love. So love beneath, but more. So think about I definitely sharing all the stories in love beneath, but I'm 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 talking about love in all aspects, romantic, family. So y'all gonna learn a lot more about my mother and our relationship, a lot more about my brothers and our relationship, how we got to where we are. Um, and it is a coming of age story about love that is, I'm telling you, as a 40-year-old looking back, all the things that I learned about love. That's what my first book about in my early, from growing up to probably like 20s. I have a 3 book series. It's gonna be back to my 20s, and then my 20s is gonna be about navigating the world. First book is becoming the woman that I am. The second book is navigating the world as the woman that I am. Um, and the shit is gonna have my college years. It's gonna have my 2 marriages, and it's gonna have, well, my first marriage, not my two, my first marriage, and those 3 serious relationships, and the conclusion of I don't know, not conclusion, but the arc of where me and my mother got to. Um, but in that first book, there are going to be references to all of that work, to the videos, pictures of them. And while I'm discussing some of these stories in more depth, there are going to be references to actual commenters like I actually told her I want to take comments from each video that I have created and look back. If you look back at some of the videos, it's like this person made this comment 8 years ago. This person made this comment 11 years ago. This person made this comment 5 years ago. This person, I'm gonna take relevant comments and put them in the book in specific spots on how the audience responded to it, questions that they had, going in depth with their questions in my reflection. So it's very interconnected with what I am very interconnected and very intentional about archiving what I have done here on this platform. So whether it be and showing it, so whether it be whether YouTube doesn't exist in 50 years or not, I still will be sharing the experience of my YouTube experience within this book. Yeah, it's they're going. I love that I found my editor. I love this is the best experience so far. Best experience so far. Love it, 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 love it. I actually know of a couple other trans people who adopted and didn't have any trouble, but in parts of Ohio, that is more open than other parts. I really don't have many problems being trans here. Good, good. Hey, Camille. I'm just getting off work. I'm glad y'all still on. Um, you seriously need a TV show or something. Let me think of. Mm, I don't know. I would love to be on any kind of TV show or anything like that. Um, but I feel like if I pay attention to think about all the trans celebrities, they are either really quiet. I mean, the most vocal politically that aligns with kind of me, kind of, I would say is Angelica. Angelica Ross doesn't bite her tongue. I'm sure she is a little bit censored, but she be on her shit. She be talking. She be sharing her opinions. But a lot of the other girls, they be quiet. They're quiet. They'll do when it's time to vote, when there's a case, they'll do it, but they very press media trained, and you can tell it's very clean, it's very politically correct, or um, they or they shuck and jive for cishet people, and I'm not doing that ever. Um, MJ did win a Glow to Go. We talked about that this episode. I'm so glad, so proud of her. She did really good. Um, so I don't know. Mm, I don't know. I don't know. And I like working with a team. Um, the album is hard. The book is easy because it doesn't really require a lot of money. The album is hard because the album requires studio time. The album is the one that costs the most money. I like Hope Giselle. Um, but yeah, I think that mm, I ain't heard you say the word befriend yet. Actually, it was supposed to be a whole other topic. We went in a whole different direction, but we're flexible here. I'll save that for next week. There's something that happened as far as I'll tell y'all about it. I don't want to ruin the conversation. I can't withhold. Camille, we here. I try not to disparage other girls. I want the girls to get their bags. The girls be the girls Girls be working the people, and sometimes people don't know that they're being worked. And I you know if I was a church lady, I would say the Lord blessed me with the gift of discernment. Hope Giselle got a good channel. Hope disguised. Yes. Um, hey Miss Trina. Thumbs up. If you just joining us, make sure you thumbs up. Um, hmm. All right, let's see some of these cards. I'm gonna pick out. I like these because they spark a conversation. So we have 1, 2, 3. Okay. I want everybody to comment 1, 2, or 3, and I'm gonna pick 1, 2, or 3 based on what I see. So which one should I do? And I'm not gonna look until 1, 2, or 3. And 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have 4 threes, 3 twos, and a 1. Okay, so that's 3. All right, so it says, never have I ever. I don't know what this means. Well, I know what it means, but I'm trying to think of. Reading my tarot card must, Diamond. No, this is never have ever. Never have I ever used my phone to call someone while taking a shit. I read that wrong. I thought it said while talking shit, but but while taking a shit. Of course, I have used my phone to call someone while taking shit many times. Many trans women are out here more concerned with securing the bag and safety, but Hopes gives them the smoke. She checked Flame Monroe about pandering to the hating community. Hmm. I tried not to disparage the girls on my platform. I am not a fan of Hope Giselle. She is not my friend. I don't like her. It is amazing that you love her and um, you have some type of semblance of respect for her. I do not. And that's all I will say. I'm glad that you enjoy her. I'm glad that whatever image that she is selling to you, you are buying it. Congratulations to her. Um, Yeah, it is. Um, I think. Let me see. I think people are performative. I think people are performative. Um, I think people um, do things for clout. If you pay attention to what happened before she read Flame Monroe, she also, a couple of weeks before that situation, she actually had her on her own platform and was pandering with her, trying to. Flame had already done the bad things, and you, just because you're chasing clout, you had her on your platform before the read happened with her, T.S. Madison, Flame, and Ashley Preston, which is the read that I think you're talking about. She had her on the show on her own platform by herself and was, I don't want to say aligning with her, but coddling her and 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 oh, I understand what you mean. I get what you're saying. It wasn't a read. It wasn't a read until, ooh, Dave Chappelle has a new special out. Let me shake it up and be controversial and read her while we're here. But you didn't read her on your own platform when she had already said the same things before. She's Flame has not been any different, but on your own platform, you gave her a space to talk about it. So, so you gotta pay attention. I missed that whole conversation, right? Because it wasn't controversial. She knew, oh, I get the Madison crowd and the Ashley Preston crowd all in one thing, and the Flame Monroe crowd. What other moment to read her in than this one? So everybody can be like, Hope gave her the smoke. Yeah, that was weird. Very convenient. I did notice the switch. But and also, where's the money that she raised for the little gay boy that they have gotten put into the system? Where's that money? Because they can't find the boy now. Exactly what me and Dominique talked about. Where's that money? The GoFundMe money? Where's that? Because he's in the system now and they can't find him. We've checked. So where did that money go since you can't get it to the boy? You can't get it to the family. You didn't choose the community route in taking care of him. So yeah. All right. So two was the next one. Number two was, have I ever, never have I ever been speed dating? I have been speed dating. Um, it was whack. I think that's weird for y'all to be sitting at tables and going from different tables for different time because it's just really, can you get into somebody in a minute or so? I don't know. It's really strange. It's fun to do because it's a everybody's perpetuating it. Diamond discussed this on Marsha's Play episode 190. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Storm irritates my spirit. I can't keep up with anything she says or does. Who is Storm? Especially after seeing him on the Breakfast Club. Who is Storm? Did I miss something? Child, I have, and it was a mess. Storm Monroe. Who is Storm Monroe? Oh, I meant Flame. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I don't know who Storm was. I'm like, Storm, who's that? Did y'all ask the rep? Did y'all ask the rep that teamed up with Hope? Yep, we asked him. We did. We did. They can't even find the boy, but the money is in the account. It's and trips and bags are bought. I gotta be paying attention. This is why y'all be getting scammed. Y'all gotta pay attention to what's happening, child. Never have I ever. This is number one. Never have I ever had an accident with someone else's car. Have I ever had an accident with someone else's car? A very small, very, very small accident where I accidentally, I was in the lane to turn and I lifted my foot off the gas, off the brake. I didn't press the gas, but I lifted my foot off the brake and I bumped into the car in front of me. Very slowly. It didn't break nothing or hit it hit them, but it didn't tear nothing up or dent nothing. But I lift my foot off the brake and I started rolling. I ran my auntie truck into the garage. Did you have to pay for anything? The man got out the truck. I was so nervous. The man got out the truck and he just looked and he was like, "Oh, nothing. It didn't. I felt it, but I didn't feel it." Flame panders to the anti-trans community too much. Her Breakfast Club interview were cringy. She's pretty much threw the trans community under the bus. Yes, very, very clear. But Hope does too, baby. Not as bad as Flame, but Hope does it too. You just gotta pay attention. She panders to the cisheads too. So all right. No ma'am, insurance. My auntie was cool about it. Oh, sickening. All right, pick one, two, or three. One, two, three. Those weren't very discussing wise. Some are kind of fun. All right. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. We have three twos, two threes, and a one. So let's see two. All right. Never have I ever had a penis drawn on my forehead while I was sleeping. No, I have not had a penis drawn on my forehead while I was sleeping, but I have had a penis on my forehead while I was sleeping. There's that. But that is like a prank or whatever. What I find when I think about that prank, sleeping prank, is something that what's funny that we used to do back in the day. Ty, when we used to be in the meadows, remember we used to antique people? Antique means you would put like baby powder all over them while they sleep, or put it in their hand and mess with their face or something and make them touch their face with the powder all over their hand. Or, they just sleeping, you done pour powder all over them. And so they wake up and they looking like dusty antiques. That's what it reminds me of. That kind of prank. And so what was the other one? Three? This is three. Um, I bought something on a flight that I knew would get me arrested. So no, not on purpose, but on accident. I have I'm a light sleeper, so folks couldn't get me. um, uh, I'm a light sleeper too. Um, I have accidentally on my keys, I have my keys on like a lanyard. On my keys, I have mace on my keys, like on my key ring with all my key rings and keychains and keys and da da da. I have a mace clipped to my keys, and so you're not supposed to bring that on the plane at all. And so I have had it. They didn't pay attention to it because they thought it was a part of my keys, and they let me push it through. And I have been on the plane with my mace in my hand with my keys. And you're not supposed to have that. So I guess I could have got arrested for that. Never have I ever bought roses and chocolate for a date on Valentine's. I have never, ever, ever bought any gift to a date ever. I have gotten roses brought to me. Um, no, no, no. I have not gotten roses. I have gotten a rose brought to me on a date. I have gotten chocolates brought to me on a date. Um, I have actually never been on a Valentine's date. I've been on many a dates, but I've never been on a Valentine's date. Even when I was in a relationship, I actually don't celebrate Valentine's because it's so close to my birthday. I want you to make my birthday special because my birthday is at the end of February. And so don't worry about Valentine's Day. Use that money to make my birthday special. And so I really don't even think about Valentine's Day. I guess if I had, if I was well to do and I had a boyfriend or a husband or whatever, and we were um together for a minute and we were stable, I guess we could do something for Valentine's Day just for fun. But I usually don't celebrate Valentine's Day because it's so close to my birthday, and I'd be like, and I've only been with broke niggas, and so I'm like, don't worry about Valentine's Day. Wait for my birthday. Save that money for my birthday. Mm, 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 I made it on two flights with a half a blunt in my duffel by mistake. Damn. Um, you wasn't worried about like the dogs that be sniffing, or maybe if it feels like when soon as you get to the line, like as soon as I get to the line of the airport, I'm thinking, ooh, do I got water in my bag? Do I got water in my bag? Do I got water? Like my brain immediately goes to, do I have water? And I got like pre-check and clear and stuff. So it just I have to think fast about it. All right, pick one, two, or three. Right, Camille Becker. Valentine is the pre-game for the birthday. Right. I've made some of my keys at two, and I work at the airport. I walk through TSA every day with damn keys and mates. They don't even think about it. Valentine's Day is a heavy business in this house. All the things have to go down. Word. Come on, Valentine's. But you and your man live together. Y'all been together. I guess it would get to the point where that would be something, but I doubt it because yeah, when I was in that situation. I literally said save it for my birthday. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so we have a lot of ones and one two. All right. So ones. Never have I ever shared an embarrassing secret about my ex. Do I have embarrassing secrets about my ex? Do I have an embarrassing secret about my ex? Embarrassing secret. Embarrassing secret. Embarrassing secret? I don't know if it's embarrassing. Um, the first time my ex gave me head, he threw up. It took me like 3 years to get him to get me to give me head, and he threw up on me, and then he went to the bathroom and threw up some more. And I was like, "Ooh, this is no, I don't want this is too much." And so, yeah, that happened. And I think I don't know what he was giving. It was given very, I don't want to do it. My sister divulges time, trump anything her ex holds dear. Yeah, yeah, it's nothing. He's throwing up. What was that about? Well, it was two things that were happening. He was trying to act like he had never sucked peas. Well, I don't think he had ever done it. Actually, I don't think he had ever done it. But um, he was trying to make it a big deal, like, oh, oh no, I can't do this, and it reminded me of how cisgender dudes describe cisgender women when they don't give head on a regular, like trying to convince them to do it. That's what it felt like. It felt like I was trying to convince him to do it, and he was making such a big deal about it. So much so that I'm like, all right, honey, I don't even want no head from you, but I'm not giving you no head. If it's gonna be all of that, I'm not doing it no more either. But he wanted some more head, so he figured out how to bob and weave without throwing up. I think he was being part of it is he never had done it before, so he couldn't control the gag of I have a cock going down my throat. But also the whole it's my first time sucking peace. And so it was a whole thing, and he was being real extra about it. And I think he thought that him being extra would make me not want to do it. That just makes me cut it totally off. It wasn't about, yeah, I don't want to do it if you're doing all of that, but I'm also not going to do you because that's the point. I act like that when I don't feel like bottoming. I'm too tight. Right. Sound like it was a mental thing. Yeah, that's what it was. He was trying to be extra. But honey, the second time it was none of that, child. It was still whack ass head, but it wasn't none of that. I think he was being extra on purpose. All right, so number what do we have? What was the other one? A lot of ones and one, two. Oh, and two twos. Sorry, two. Um, never have I ever been thrown out of a bar. I have been thrown out of a bar one time. Me and my gay mom was out during this. The first time that I ever got arrested. Me and my gay mom was out. We had went to the straight bar in Indianapolis. This club called the Mecca, and for some reason when we went out there, they were closed. Unusual. I don't know what was happening. They were closed, and so we were all dressed up, looking beat, and We were like, well, we all dressed up. We might as well go out, at least go to the gay club or whatever. So we went to the gay club. And this is my first time being out with my gay mom. And she didn't really go out like that. So I went out and I did. So everybody knew me. They didn't really know her that much. And so I'm on the dance floor, dancing, blah, 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 having fun. And next thing I know, she comes over to me and she says, hey, yo, can you hold my purse? Because I'm about to pop this bitch. And I'm like, oh, wait, what's happening? First of all, because I don't hold purses. And any bitch that I come in the club with, if she pops, I pops. That's just how it is. And so I don't hold purses. So because I need my hands free to pop too. So I don't hold purses. And so I never she tried to hand me her purse, but I never grabbed it. And so I'm like, girl, I'm not holding no purse. Come on, what's going on? We go over there and the girl is talking hella shit. This stud broad is just kind of just being real extra. And she says, the girl is taller than my gay mom, but not as tall as me. My gay mom is like 5'8", 5'9", and I'm like 5'11". So she's like in between us. And so she's just being real extra, like a stud. And she just being like, I'm an amateur boxer. I'm a this and bitch, y'all bitches ain't gonna do nothing to me. And you don't can't what you come over here to do. What you come over here to do. You listening to she don't know what she talking about, talking to her. And I'm like, man, look, I don't care what the fuck you talking about. I don't care what you talking about. All I know is you being quite extra. And she went into some amateur boxer shit about her being an amateur boxer. And I say, okay, back. And she says, back. And she hits me back. And I'm like, boom, 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 boom. We're out. And so the fight then started. I get her by the head because she got hair. She got her hair in like a ponytail or whatever. Get her by that hair. Boop, 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 boop. Wear her out. Wear her out. Wear her out. So her hair. You know how when you fighting somebody, your hand, your hair get in there. Your fingers get in there, baby. And so it's entangled. So she can't really. I don't care how much you pull her. Because I'm not just grabbing it, I'm like entangling it in my hand. So she can't get away. So as much as if you pull her away from me, you're pulling her hair out in my hand. But she can't get away because I got so much of it. And people are grabbing her and grabbing me, but they can't get rid of my hand. They I have her and her head is she's like this, and I can just boom her. Doom, 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 wearing her out, wearing her out. And the police come over, not police or security come over, and they mace me. But it doesn't matter. I have her head. Wherever my hand is, I know her hand is in front of it because I have all her hair in the back of her head. It ain't even I got the long part. I got it like in the scalp, twisted in my finger. So wherever I move my hand, her head is going. And long as I don't care if I'm mace, long as I know where my hand at, I know where her face is. Boom. So I'm just whacking. Boom, 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 boom. And so they mace me, but I don't stop. I'm still fighting, blah, 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 blah. And next thing I hear is I can't see because I'm maced. The coordinates, exactly. I can't see because I'm maced. And all I hear for something, I hear this. It sounds like, oh, this is what I hear. Get off her. Get off her. I keep hearing this like, get off her, get off her, get off her. And so, get off her. Boom. And every time they say get off her, bam, I hear a hit, like a tap. And next thing I know, I'm feeling people release me. And it's my gay mom. My gay mom has taken off her heel and she is bashing the police officers. Boom. Not the police officer, the security, because they're not police. The security. Boom. Get off her. When I got to work the next day, they wore me out. Because this is the club that Deja worked at. Boom. I just hear her knocking them. Boom. Get off her. Boom. Get off her. She's bashing them. And they let me the fuck go. Bashing them. Boom. Get off her. Get off her. And now I'm Mace. And so because I'm Mace, I let the... Now, because I hear what's going on, my brain is getting scared because I can't see and we're in the middle of the fight. And so I let her hair go. So I release my hand and I'm backing up, but nobody is holding me. And I hear, and somebody grabs my arm and says, Diamond, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Whispered in my ear, come on. And so I'm going. I can tell that they are pulling to my right side because I'm facing the bars, pulling to my right side. What is happening, Miles and Cliff, is taking me out the back. Well, trying to take me out the back. So we get out the door and we get to Cliff's car. Cliff has like a spider. We get to Cliff's car and no. He has his BMW, his BMW truck this time, the gray one. So we get to as soon as he opened the door and gets me in the car, I hear some white woman's voice who is like either the owner or something. Some white woman's voice say, don't let him take her. That's her. That's her. Get her out the car. And so the security grabs me, or I don't know. Somebody grabs me and pulls me out of the car. And now at this point, the police are here. The police are here, and they push me down. Oh, they handcuff me and push me down on the police car, the hood of the police car. But remember, I'm Mace and I can't see. But because I'm Mace, all of my mucous membranes are acting up, honey. It's snot and everything coming out. And so I'm spitting on the car. Do you know these cops snatched my wig off and wiped up the snot and the spit and threw my wig on the ground? Wiped it off their car and threw my wig on the ground. Which me thinking about is hilarious as hell. But in the moment, I don't care. I can't see. It's getting weird. And so they put me in the paddy wagon, me and my gay mom, because the white woman was like, her too, talking about my gay mom. Her too. She was the one hitting the security with the heels. And so they put us both in the motherfucking paddy wagon. And we're in the back of the paddy wagon, hot as hell, because it's summertime. It's July 4th weekend. It's annoying as fuck because y'all know it's July 4th weekend. So that Monday, ain't none of the courts open. You got to wait till, if you go to jail on Saturday, you wait until Tuesday to go in front of the judge, child, because this is a 4-day weekend. And so I'm like, oh, so we don't know that. We ain't paying attention to that yet, but we're in this fucking paddy wagon. And And they don't just take you to the jail. They got to go pick up other people. So we stuck in this paddy wagon for quite a long time. By the time we get to, but mind you, I'm blind as a fucking bat. I can only feel the metal of the paddy wagon. I know we in there with other dudes, which is kind of fucking annoying because I can't see, and I'm in there with dudes, and I don't know, it gets weird. And I'm in like this black cat suit that's like with a real deep cut V. Ugh, so annoying. And so we get to the jail. Finally, we get to the jail. Miraculously, when I step foot outside of the paddy wagon, I don't have my eyes get back to working. It has worn off. And so we get into the station, and one of the officer ladies behind the thing, and she tells them, y'all need to take all of that stuff off. Like she's a sister and a girl, so she is being real extra because we're trans or whatever. And she's like, y'all need to take all of that fake stuff off. Like she thinks that all of our body parts are fake. But they're not. And so we like, oh, all of us is real. The woman dressed in catsuit form. Yes, basically. So we take off our shirts. We take off our shirts. Like this is real. We ain't taking, don't nothing come off. This is ours. This is of me, baby. How it's set up is the inmates, are they called inmates? Whoever is already in the jail. Is inmates prisoners? Are they inmates too? I don't know. Anyway, they are behind a glass, so they only can see us. So they can't hear us, and they don't know what's going on. So they are thinking that we are like a sister and the girls. And so we go to the back, and you know what I'm saying? We can't take off our bodies because our bodies are us. We done been pumped. We're that girls. Our shit is real. And so, of course, they got to put us with the boys because we we still got what we got. And we in Indiana. But they just isolate us. So when we come through the room, when we come through the glass doors, you either gonna go to the left to go, if you are one of the boys, you go to the left, or boys, you go to the left. If you one of the girls, you go to the right. So the people in the front of us are people kind of not in the cell. They kind of just sit and waiting to be processed out. And so they the one who just seen us like show our titties and get naked or whatever for the kids, down to our tuck belts, of course. And so when we come through the door and we turn left, all the niggas say, "Oh man, them is dudes." And it gags them. They like, "What? Them is dudes?" Da 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 da. So they put us together in this cell, this glass little isolated cell, not with them, but we can still see them outside of sitting in the chairs or whatever. We still can see them and they can see us, but it's like a glass thing separating us. And so we kept having this old man. That's what Ty is talking about. This old man. We kept on flashing the trades our titties. Well, I did. I kept flashing the trade our titties. And so one of the young boys come up to the window and say, "Baby girl, don't disrespect yourself like that." And right after him, the old man come to the window and say, "Baby girl, please disrespect yourself." And we all start busting out laughing. because the old man did that, and we were like cackling, 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 cackling. And then the officers, the COs, come on the intercom and tell us, come on the intercom and tell us, and say, if you flash your breast one more time, we're gonna put y'all in a padded cell by yourself in the little straight jackets or whatever. And we didn't want to do that. And my gay mom was like, bitch, don't show near another kitty. Leave it alone. And so we sitting there, we cold as shit because we half naked because we were going to the club, um, looking a mess. I had hair, but you get what I'm saying? It was looking a mess. It was relaxed and all of my fucking head. Um, and she got on this skirt. It just was crazy. So finally we gotta get to the judge or whatever. So something happens where we I can't remember why we had to go up. Oh, because we had to stay and couldn't go to the judge or whatever until that till later on in the day, we they took us up to, the jail part. Not just the holding, the actual jail part. And in the jail part is where the humiliating shit happened. That's where you got to go up and you got to get naked in front of the officers, and they throw some lime powder or something on your private parts. They make you bend over and spray you with this bug spray and throw some little lime powder on your piece and your booty hole, and you standing in front of all the niggas with tits and a dick. It is the most humiliating moment of my life that I remember. They're asking you questions about how you get a body like that. Your body look like a female, but you got a piece. They asking you all these weird ass questions that is not on that clipboard. You know that is not on that clipboard. Why are you asking me that? Then they put you in this jumpsuit, this orange jumpsuit, and take you upstairs. It's very orange is the new black. That real cool. Humiliating ain't the word. It is not. It is not the worst. And so they take you to this orange jumpsuit, and when you get in the jumpsuit, you gotta walk past the tray. The tray see you coming, so the tray in the cell is like, damn, put them in the cell with us. Some of them is like, don't put them faggots in here. Some of them is like, yeah, come on, come on, come on. And some of them is like, It's a mixed bag. Some of them is screaming. Some of them making jokes. It's just you gotta walk past all these niggas. And so they put us in this one little cell or whatever. And it's a bunch of beds in there, like bunk beds, a bunch of niggas in they orange short jumpsuit, and it's the trade. So when we come in, we feeling threatened. Like we like, girl, honey, y'all better not do too much. We got to twirl in here too. So and they put us together. So we like, child, we hope don't got to twirl none of these niggas. And so they put us in these two top bunks next to each other. There was dude under us, dudes um, all around us. And so we got body parts, child. We got breasts and shit. So they get to asking us questions. Um, y'all know I had sued my high school probably a couple of years before this because this was when was this? 2004, 2005. So I had sued my high school in 99. So it was niggas in there that remembered me from that. And so they were mentioning that. They said, I remember when you went to Arlington, and they were mentioning shit. But I was trying to be evil. Like I didn't want to be tested. So I was sitting there like, I didn't want to be tested because I was ready. I was in my mind ready to twirl these motherfuckers, whoever wanted to try me. Then they started to be nice and give us like these snacks and these little. They be making these things in jail. They call them slams, where they be fucking. It's just a bunch of shit just mixed together, and all that looked nasty. And I was acting bougie. I'm not eating that. I'm not eating anything while I'm here. No. And I'm also not using the toilet. Do y'all see that toilet? That toilet is disgusting. Do they come in here and clean the toilet for y'all? Why is it so nasty? Like I'm having these bougie moments. Wow. No, this I am not using the bathroom. I'm not drinking anything, so I don't have to use the bathroom. No, I'm not doing anything. Stop trying to give me your fucking gross food. And then the dude under me was giving me candy. He had given me some little peppermints or whatever. Um, so I had went to sleep, and when I woke up, my gay mom had got out. Jail burritos to ramen noodles, summer sauces, not the kind they wanted though. Child, horrible. My gay mom had got out and she didn't want to wake me up. So her mom had bailed her out. And so soon as she bailed her out, soon as my gay mom's mom bailed her out, she came and bailed me out. And so I didn't have to which I didn't want them to do because I didn't want to have to pay nobody back. And I knew it was my first charge. So I would have gone without paying shit. I don't think I would have got a bail. Um, but what was crazy was before we got put in the jail part, when you go in front of the judge or whatever, there was a judge that we had to go in front of. I didn't get to go in front of him because my gay mom went in front of the judge first. And I guess she was so rude to him that they because our cases were together, when I was about to come up to the judge, when it was my turn, he said, I don't even want to see that other one. Send both of them to the jail. They can stay the whole weekend. They put their bond to this. And he gave us a bond. And child, I didn't even get to talk to him because I think what happened was he was going to put us on house arrest for the weekend, which was kind of strange. Until house arrest until our court date. That's what he was gonna do. He was gonna put us on house arrest until our court date. And my gay mom was like, I can't be on no damn house arrest. I work for the city. I can't have no thing on my ankle. And he was like, bitch. He didn't say bitch, but bitch, you should have thought about that before you got to fighting in the club. You can either stay in jail or you can have house arrest. What you want? And she was like, what? I drive the bus. And I guess she was so rude to him that he was like, get these out of our face. Get this out of our face. And so they locked us up. I didn't even get to talk to him because she was so rude. He didn't even want to talk to me. But anyway, she bailed me out and we got out. And the dudes was really nice. By the time we both end up leaving, the dudes was really, really nice and wasn't being weird or anything. But yes, that was the time I was thrown out of the bar. That's that story. The time I was thrown out of a bar. The girl who we fought never came to court, so they threw out the case. So I never was charged with the battery or assault, whatever it was. I never was charged because she never came to the courthouse. So that was thrown out. So it wasn't my first charge. It was my first time being arrested, though. Well, I don't know what the word is. I wasn't convicted. And number one would be, have I ever been naked in my office? So when I used to work at Bath and Body Works, sometimes before we opened the store, I would bring the trade in and we wouldn't actually have intercourse, but we were 69 back in the office. So I would get butt naked, he would get butt naked, and we would go to town on each other. And I did that a few times early in the morning because we opened at 9, so they would have to come. Oh, no. The shipment people come at 8:30, so um, they would have to come before 8:30, so around between 8, 7:30, and 8. So if I knew I was gonna have my trade there, I would just come into. Well, I'm the only one there. I'm the only one there, because I'm the store manager at the time. I'm the only one who comes to the store in the morning. It's only me there, so there's nobody to catch us. It's only me, and then at 8:30, the shipment guy comes, and I have to open the door for him. He can't just come in. And so by the time the shipment manager, I already done put him out. We don't already nutted and it's gone. So we be butt naked. And there's no cameras in the back of the store. There's cameras in the front of the store, but there's no cameras in the back. So they could see if somebody was looking at the cameras. It's like somebody went back and looked. They would they could look at him coming in and out, but they couldn't actually see what we do. A whole new meaning of body works for me after this. Right. Body works. So I've only done that with two dudes. One of my favorite dudes to hook up with him because I really like him. And then I did it with another one because I was really, really horny. I had seen him before, but we had hooked up before, but he had hit me. I was up at like 6:30 to get ready for work. And I was like, yo, I'm about to go to work. And he was like, ooh, can I come to work? Let's do it at your job. And I was like, that's freaky. Because I'm very that's the idea of that. Ooh, that's interesting. I've never done that because he was the first time I did it. And I was like, ooh, okay. And then once that was hot, the dude that I regularly hook up with, I was like, so that was fun activities, discrete activities. Exactly. All right, I think we got time for one more. 1, 2, 3. All righty. 1, 2, or 3. 1, 2, or 3. Mm, 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 mm. Make sure while we wait, make sure y'all thumbs up. Make sure y'all thumbs up. 1, 2, or 3. Um, these two I don't think are good. I'm gonna pick two for 1 and 3. I'm gonna pick other cards because these are kind of they're not interesting because y'all know that this hasn't happened. So this one is never have I ever had to take a paternity test. I don't have sex with people with vaginas. So that one's kind of stupid. Let me pick another one. And this one, okay, yes. And this one is, yeah, I come from a poor black family. There is no will. It says, never have I ever been stunned by something that was left for me in a will. That's not relevant to my life. I come from a family that does not have things to leave for you in a will. Um, this is stupid. Worn Reebok pumps. I have, but that's stupid. It doesn't give anything to talk about. Okay, this is good. All right, so go ahead. So any more voters? Not the game, shady you. Right. All right, 1, 2, or 3. So we got that. I'm gonna give you 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, no more votes. All right, so we have mostly threes. So 2 threes and 1 and 2. So 3. Y'all, the spiciest one. um, Never have I ever had sex with my boss. Boom. This is an interesting question. He didn't have a house to take you to. Yes, he had a house to take me to, but you didn't hear me say I was headed to work. I wasn't gonna not go to work to go to his house so he can come to my job. Have I ever had sex with my boss? So most of my bosses have been cis women, most. But when I used to work at Hewlett Packard before I had gotten fired for being trans, um, before I started my job there, I was on the chat line and I met this dude on the phone chat line named Gino. And he came to my house and we messed around and that dick was big and he didn't want to give me no head, but he ate my ass real good and he jacked me off. I think I was like uh 20, 23. I think I was like 22, 23. And he I don't know, I was like 21. Yeah, I was like 21. So he didn't want to give me no head. He wanted to but he said I'll jack you off and I eat your ass. So I was like, okay. I wouldn't do that now, but I was like, okay. And so that's what happened. He did all of that. So we had a low little session. It was hot though. It was right. And so we hook up and boom. A month later, I get a job at Hewlett Packard as building computers. And guess who is my supervisor? Gino. He wasn't my boss at the time that we had, but a month later he was my supervisor at my job. So I have never slept with I thought you was gonna say you slept with one of your women bosses. No, I've never slept with any cisgender. I have never had any type of vagina. Anybody with a vagina, I have never had sex with. You ever dated a man in jail, heard somebody waiting on her boyfriend for 27 years? I have dated a man in jail, but I've never waited for a man in jail. But I have dated men who were locked up. Yeah. Um, um, or talk. Dated is a reach. Talk to them while they were locked up. Yeah. Were they sending you letters and selling you the sun, moon, and stars about what's going to happen when they get out? All that shit. Yes. But yes, that was the boss that I had sex with. Yes. All right. So what did we do? So we had two and one. They were kind of equal. So have I purchased drugs from another country? Yes, as a trans woman, sometimes you have to go black market. And so there used to be this site called In House Pharmacy. And sometimes they had drugs coming in from other countries. And so to get my hormones, I could get German hormones, I could get Mexican hormones, I could get tons of different kind of drugs and shit like that that you would normally in America get a prescription for, but in-house pharmacy would sell them to you without a prescription, and you just buy them and they send it to your house. I remember in-house pharmacy. Yes, if you're an old school girl, more than likely you know about in-house pharmacy. So yes, I purchase drugs from another country. If you're talking about in-house farm was the goal, yes, God. Mm. But if we talk about drugs, you know, I smoked weed my last little senior year of high school. I didn't smoke weed in college. Um, I would smoke like I would hit a blunt maybe randomly throughout my 20s, very randomly. I didn't really smoke that much. Um, I did X twice, like back in 2004. I've never done coke or any type of cocaine. Um, but yeah, I did X in January of 2004 and February of 2004, and I never tried it again. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the experience. Um, then I started doing edibles recently, like in the past, mm, like 3 years, 3 or 4 years. I would randomly do edibles. We also purchased drugs in Mexico. Yes, we did. Um, I randomly do edibles. Like when I went to Cancun in December, I did some edibles and it was really nice. Just randomly, it's not something I do constantly. Usually, I'm in some kind of relaxing place. Like when I go on vacation, I'll bring an edible. I actually have a whole pack of edibles that I ain't even bust out because I don't really like to be at home high. I want to be doing something fun. Um, yeah, so I'll do an edible every now and then. I don't really like the feeling of smoking, like actually smoking, bringing smoke into my lungs. Even though I smoked for a little bit, but no. So drugs ain't really my thing. Drugs ain't really my jam. Yeah, I'm definitely not doing nothing super hard like cocaine or heroin or I ain't never done none of that shit. Usually weed. I think the hardest drug that close to hard drug that I did was X. Um, yeah, and that was back in 2004. But usually it's like edibles nowadays. I love being home high. If I'm with some people, but when I'm by myself, I don't like it. Cause I really just be sleepy. It don't really be fun. When I'm with people, at least it can be like, but when I'm at home, I just get sleepy, child. I just want to sleep. Yes. Let's see. The last one is: have I ever uh, smoked weed with a cop? I have never smoked weed with a cop. Never, ever, ever smoked weed with a cop. I have done other illegal activities like prostitution with a cop. I have had probably about six cops as clients. Um, hey, Brianna, has anybody ate at Old Lady Gang? I don't know what that is. Is it a restaurant or is that a euphemism for something? You gotta put on some music. Um, I love being high by myself. I'm high by myself now at work. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess I could try to put on some music, Papa. But also I'm trying to lose weight, child, and edibles and weed and shit. That shit make me want to eat the house down, bitch. No, Candy's restaurant in a ATL. Yeah, I've never. I don't. If I don't have to, I'm rarely gonna go to Atlanta. I don't really like Atlanta. You watching Portia's Family Matters? No. Mm-mm. Mm. I heard the food is salty there. Mm. Yeah, I don't know nothing about Atlanta. I can't drink at home. Oh, now I can sip a cocktail at home. I can sip a cocktail. How about Euphoria? Euphoria is a interesting topic that I'm not gonna have now because it's not much time. We got about 6 more minutes. But I am watching Euphoria. I really, really like what they're doing with this new season. I love it. I love the show. I find Jules' character's relationship with those those students to be quite unbelievable. Like there is no social isolation. I talked about this on, if you go to my Twitter and search for Euphoria, hashtag Euphoria, I talk about this. I find Jules' relationship to the students to be quite unrealistic. And I asked Gen Zers, am I just old school and I don't have this experience? Um, but her she has such an intimate relationship with everybody. Well, all, the dude, the girls, nobody is treating her no aggression. She's invited to all the parties. There's nobody socially isolating her. And while I know we can have friends, absolutely, you can't get me to believe that nobody in the culture of your student class is making you feel like you're a trans person, like isolated, like, oh, I don't want to be around her. I don't want to talk to her. Everybody is like recent. She had in this last episode, she had a intimate conversation at the bowling alley with Maddie. She had an intimate conversation with Kat. She has a little moment in the bathroom, just a little moment in the bathroom with Cassie. She is dating Rue. Nobody is responding to her in her transness in um but even in California, that's not a utopia for trans people. That they get the shits too. Yes, they have, they're more liberal than other places, but California, I have really close California friends, and it's not that. It's not a utopia. It's better than fucking Mississippi, Texas, but California is not a utopia for trans people. They wear trans people out too. The shit, a trans girl just got murdered in San Francisco. San Francisco. Um, but you're not gonna get me to believe that everybody is just like, oh, this trans person is here. Now, if we're imagining, I think I'll listen. If we're imagining, if we're imagining what and suspending disbelief and imagining what the world could be like, then sure. Like you can be popular and likable, but it ain't all kumbaya around the whole campfire. Yes, exactly. And that's what it's starting to feel like. They're not showing me, it doesn't feel like it's not realistic. I like what they're doing, don't get me wrong, but I'm pointing out that that's not realistic for the people. I peeped that too. Like you can be, yeah. I was thinking the same thing. And I just was like, I, what I do love is, I love that Jules is as healthy as the relationship can be. Is we are seeing a depiction of a trans person that Rue is seeing. I call their pulling rules. Um, Speaking of that, Money from Queer Watch does a recap, and she does really really good. I think it's patrons only, but be a patron supporter. But she's really really good at recapping it because she's a therapist. Um, you know, Doctor Montanique McKicker. So she really breaks it down in that regards, and but in a funny pro black good way. And so this is the first time we're seeing, I don't know, a trans love interest that is like, this is goals, not us thinking this is goals, because the relationship is shitty, it's unhealthy because she's Rue is making her a part of her sobriety. That's unhealthy. But I'm talking about, I'm Rue. I'm Rue, and this is gold. This is the woman of my dreams. I can't be without her. I can't see my life. I don't want to lose her. And have we seen a trans person looked at as the main love interest of a story? and not just in regards to queering up somebody's sexuality, like actually like, ooh, um, didn't Ju- didn't Jules get harassed by Nate and his dad? Yeah, last season, not this season. I'm talking about, and what I'm critiquing is the interpersonal relationship of her and the students in the school. Um, but have we seen this type of display of wanting somebody wanting a trans person as their one? I haven't seen that, and I think that's beautiful. I haven't seen that. Does that make sense? When I see Rue talking about Jules on screen, it's like, oh, this is so beautiful. She really loves her. Like um, this is my person. This is a person that makes me feel good. And you see them being intimate. And I think that those moments, have you interviewed a trans person from that generation on your show yet? Yes, tons of them. Closest was since eight. I think the closest was since eight with Nomi's girl. Yeah, I think the closest was since eight, but it's still, I don't know, it's a little bit different. But yes, I think the closest was since eight. Um, but yeah, I thought that was beautiful for me how they engage. India and Poppy. It didn't feel like that. I don't know what that gave. It gave. I liked it. I guess I can accept that. Yeah, I didn't feel. I didn't feel the. I didn't feel. I think what ruined it was how they portrayed. Not ruined it. Not ruined it. That's not the right word. India's because of Pose. India's character, their transness was so on the forefront. It doesn't feel like Jules' transness is on the forefront. Does that make sense? And even some of their word, their how the script is written was like, "Oh, baby girl," like it was in. It felt like it was intentionally trying to portray the fantasy. But I think Rue and Jules' unhealthy relationship changes the dynamic of that to me. I just think it's just different. But yeah, I guess Indiana Poppy is a good one. But it's something different of how she talks about Jules. It's not complicated, and Poppy wasn't complicated enough. There was no. It didn't feel like that there was any There was any question about Poppy. There was no battle. I would love to explore that. That God, this is my person, but there's a battle. It wasn't enough for me. Right. And furthermore, the show centers more on Rue, a cishet character, and her love interest happened to be trans. I think you mean it was too polished. I don't know. It's something about it was something about the Poppy character that was too fantas phantasmagorical. It was something too, I don't know. It's no kind of nuance in his character. It was like, oh, my character is supposed to be the prince in shining armor, and so why can't you see that I love you and you're enough woman for me? That's not complicated. There's no and maybe it's my bias, and I don't think every character is going to be perfect in this regard. But I also, as a trans person who has been in love, who has navigated love with men, sometimes there is a complication there, even within themselves. Even if they accept you, there is a um, hmm, this is this is a choice I have to make. It felt like Poppy was with the choice from the gate, and that's a specific type of dude that I okay, cool. I want to see the complicated, the dude who is it's complicated for him to make this decision. But in the end, I made the decision that this is my gal. I want to see because I think that's the complication that we don't get to talk about. Does this make sense? Not saying that Jules and Rule does this, but that's what I want to see. And that's what um, Poppy and India didn't get. In Pose, we're rooting for the trans characters by default. So it felt easier to accept that Angel and Blanca found love in cis partners. Yeah. He didn't have to divest from the cishet world. Facts. That. Right. Poppy was in community. He didn't have to divest. Yeah, Poppy was in community. There was no battle. There was no battle. It was like, I'm in this community. So, of course, yeah, you're my girl. We're doing our thing. I'm in your ball house. There was no, yeah, that's what it is. There's no divestment um, from that. He wasn't giving up. Poppy was not giving up anything to be in Angel's life. He was not giving up anything. There was nothing that was happening. Shit, he didn't find out he had some connection to the cishet girl and had a baby till last season, child. We didn't hear about we didn't hear about him liking no fish the whole 3 seasons until then. We like, oh, you done got in some pussy too. Damn. Okay. In real life, you have the superhero question. Their relationship was so cute. Um, are you with me because of me or because of other superhero traits that complicate me? Thus, why are you able to make this look easy? Mm, you can't say fish. I know. I'm trying to. It's so ingrained in my cultural consciousness. It's like me saying nigga. It's sometimes it's gonna come out. Uh, um, this is not a good relationship. But even I think that the Nate and Jules relationship is more complicated and interesting to me how they are navigating that story. I talked about that because there is a romantic attraction to Jewel and a hate for Jewel when it comes to Nate. I think that's a complicated story that is quite common, especially in the climate of our intimate partners killing us. How can the love for us and romantic attraction live simultaneously in somebody who can hate us at the same time? I could explain how, but how are we exploring that within the story? How can you be attracted to me, but at the same time, and explore sexuality with me, but at the same time hate me so much that you can kill me? If Stan would have ended up being the cishet love interest angel, then that would have required divestment from the privilege provision. Fact. If Stan would have done that, his dad too. His dad too. Um, hmm. There's intimacy that um, that Nate had that his dad didn't. Like you can tell his dad's relationship with Jules was a client, like a client. It's just sexual. I want to sexualize you. I'm not emotionally invested in this relationship at all. But Nate had a certain level of intimacy with Jewel that wasn't like the dad. There were moments of outside of sexuality intimacy with Nate and Jewel in first season that were not just sexual like dad. That's the difference, which complicates it more to me. I think those, to me, those entities, those trans attracted narratives are more interesting to me than the stereotypical "I fetishize you" character. I'm a training chaser. I fetishize you. I I put you in this. You're a human blow up doll, and I want to just try this trans stuff for sexual exploration. That is not interesting at all to me. I think that is so simple, simplistic, and easy to understand because men fetishize things. It's just that I can be unapologetic about fetishizing you because the world says I shouldn't fuck with you anyway. So there's no kind of accountability. At least when cishet men fetishizes cisgender women, while that can be a norm, it's not chivalrous. There's going to be some judgment from other women. There's going to be some judgment of um even the dudes who praise me, they're going to praise me behind closed doors. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? It's gonna be that's only praise within the male community. There's gonna be overall culture, there's gonna be some a little bit of judgment if you are being that creepy openly. You know, on the low, yeah, with your homeboys locker room talk, it can be free. But in the culture, women are gonna judge you. With a trans person, everybody is gonna see that as bad. And there's no accountability because don't nobody know what's happening at all. And so I don't have to be held accountable for anything that I do with you because nobody knows that it's happening. I'm keeping a secret. And that's quite simple, easy for me to understand. Um, and then, if you're a trans woman who dates men, um, if I'm gonna be honest, the men who date us that I have seen in long-term relationships, it's not saying that they are dumb or they're not intelligent, but there is an offness. And this might be shady, it's just um, honey, it's just my experience. Dudes that are in relationship with trans women that I have seen, there is there's some of them that's really really smart, so it's not about their intellect, there is a offness. I don't know, there is a social offness. There is something in their brain that is just off enough to where they can take the plunge and divest totally from that bullshit. It's like their brain doesn't allow that fear to um, debilitate them in a way that they don't want to take the plunge and try it. It's something to be off. I don't want to. It just is. It just is. They be off, child. Brianna, there is there's just something about the niggas that be off, child. And so they're not very complicated to me. It's whatever the space is between that and that off. Ooh, I'm willing to go all in, and oh, I'm willing just to keep you as a fetish. Whoever is here, where I don't have that offness where I could go all in, but I also care. I don't have the sociopath nature of keeping you an object and wanting to objectify you. I see your humanity, but I also see the consequences of it. Um, um, so I think who people in that space, I want to see those people. I don't want to see the poppies. Um, I don't want to see the Nate's dad. I want to see those people who are in that complicated space where they have the mental capacity to understand the fear and the consequences that come with being us and the divestment, but also have the compassion and um, empathy to see us as human. Those are the men that I'm attracted to. Those are the men that I think I want to see their stories. I want to see how they navigate. I want to see them make those decisions. Their build up to break that mold. Their build up to get. I don't know. That's a more interesting narrative for me. I want to write a show about that dude. Exactly. That's why we need to go ahead and work together, Brianna, and write it together because this is where where we can shine, girl. This is those that that's where the interesting, complicated story is. That's where that's where we have our "May I destroy you" moment. That "May I destroy you" moment, because what people that was what she what Michaela Cole did with "May I Destroy You" was fucking brilliant. The nuance, the small little nuance of how she depicted that that narrative about rape and dealing with the sexual assault and the different types of rape that she explored, and how everybody responded to it. That those were her those were the it was brilliant. It was fucking brilliant. That's why she won the was it Emmy? She killed it. But yes, y'all. Um Make sure y'all thumbs up if you have been watching. Um I'm gonna have to change the title of this. The dude that gives that I never thought I would fall in love with a trans woman, but I can't help it, but he will go shoot anyway. Or y'all go through all the shit. Um, is this Eon the Lioness, Tona Brown? No, that is Brianna, um, not the Lioness. And Brianna is Tona Brown's friend too. The dude that gives that I never thought. Yeah. Yeah, that's who I like. That's who I want. That's who I want to see. That's who I want to see. Excuse me. I'm sleepy, y'all. It's 12. So yes, we're about to get up out of here. So once again, if you I'm trying to remember to say this every time. If you are a trans woman and you are in emergency need, go to the even got our revival in the beginning work. Um Child, we talked about all the things tonight, right? If you are a trans woman and you're in need, there is a link down in the bottom of this, um, in the show notes, emergency shit. So when we, it ain't just because you want something. If you're in need, fill out the form. There's a link to the support thing, Black Trans Women's Inc., and you will be connected with one of our client intake specialists, and we can help you. Sometimes we can't because your need is too great, but if you have something that we can help you with, we can. If you let us know what's going on, we can actually help you. So make sure you do that. We literally sometimes we have coins, and sometimes we have coins for different things. So sometimes, like if you're homeless, you can hit us up and we can pay your first month rent. We don't always have funding for that, but sometimes we do. Like somebody will donate like $10,000, and we'd be like, "Oh, okay, well we can pay this many people's rent for whatever. Not pay your rent, but we don't pay people rent, but we pay. Like say you homeless and you need your first month rent. Sometimes we do that if we have the funding for it. If you don't have no food, we have a food pantry that we can send you boxes of food that you know what I'm saying, we package and send you just different food stuff that can help you survive until we can figure out, how to get you on food stamps or how to get you some type of assistance in that regards. Um, we pay people's phone bill. It really just depends on money, what we have gotten money for in the grant. Sometimes it's to get people. Sometimes we'll get Lyft or Uber will hit us up and say, "Oh, you have $10,000, not 10,000. It's usually like 5,000, $5,000 credit for Lyft and Uber or Lyft or Uber. And if you give people this code, they can use this code and get the ride for free." That has happened twice. We don't have it now, but that has happened twice where I can send somebody a code and they can ride for free because Lyft has given us $5,000 worth of credit as a donation to our organization. So it just depends. It's and everything different. Everything is different now. It- Everything is different over time. So it just depends on what we got a grant for, what we got. I remember back in 2020, we got a grant for getting people out of jail. We still have some of that leftover funding. So we still can. If you are in Texas, we can't get you out of jail if you're in other places. But if you are in Harris County, we got funding to get you out of jail. So we can get you out of jail if you're in Harris County. Everybody everywhere else, we can't help you out. um, but just different things. So we are an organization that is here to help you with things. Um, Also, you can also become a member. This has nothing to do with like support. If you want to see what we are doing and you want to get, you know, like when we do have some funding and we're looking for people to be a part of certain things, become a member and it's free. Just go to the website in the bottom and sign up and become a member so you can know what's going on. I don't know if we have officially said it, but because of Omicron, we have canceled BTEC, the actual in-person conference, because we just, we care about our community and we don't want people to be getting sick. And yeah, we unfortunately have to cancel. So that fucking sucks because I have such this. I haven't been able to do the conference as the leader. I haven't had a chance to actually do the conference my way, the way I want to do it. And so it's kind of fucking annoying because in 3 fucking years we haven't been able to fucking do it. And so it's annoying as fuck. But yeah. Kim Kimball does Cassie's hair on Euphoria. Her hair be fire. I don't know who Kim Kimball is, but her hair be fire. But yes, yeah, we try to if you need help. Go to the bottom. What else? What else? What else? What else? What else? What do I have coming up? What do I have coming up? Nothing. Oh, I'm not getting paid to promote this, but this is interesting. Tomorrow at 3:30, Angelica Ross, her Sundance film. You can buy tickets to. The tickets are $20. Um, Her Sundance film is at 3:30. I don't know if that is Central Time or Eastern Time. I don't really fucking know. But Angelica Ross, framing Agnes. I don't know if I know she's one of the main characters. I don't know if she's Agnes or I don't know, but that's at 3:30 either Eastern or Central. Double check. But the tickets are $20 for to show it because she has a show showing at Sundance. So we have to support our own, and I love Angelica. So if you have some time tomorrow, you got $20 to pay for a ticket for Sundance. Um, yeah, support her. Yeah, Kiana. There's another trans girl who has a film showing at Sundance too called Black Faces of Beauty or um I can't remember. But there's two people that I know who have films at Sundance and we gotta support our people. So support. You helping the girls with rehab. Are you helping the girls with rehab? I don't think we have a rehab program. I don't think so. I don't know what is helping the girls with rehab? Like paying for rehab? No, but we don't have a rehab program. That's something to think about. That could be created. You just gave me an idea. I could write it in my brainstorming notes. Explain that a little bit more. What do you mean helping the girls with rehab? No, I don't know her. Janice Poindexter. Nope. I might know when I see her, but I don't know her by that name. Are you talking about Shanice? I don't know Janice Poindexter. Not by that name. Maybe if I see her, I don't know her. But yeah, Miss China, what do you mean by helping the girls get rehab before I go? Because I want to know what you mean. Helping them in what way? Are we talking about paying for them to get into rehab? Are we talking about um, mentorship or like helping them? I don't know what that means. Funding for rehab assistance. What is the average cost of rehab? Like, what is? Give me a. I'm. That's not my expertise. So, give me what is the what's the average cost of rehab? Like, what's the cost of it? Like, what would be some cost? Because if it's reasonable, I literally can create a program for it, and and write to get it funded, or fund it right now with money that we got. I just never thought of that. So there are too many trans women stuck in the sex work cycle. Intervention needs to be done. Um, some people like sex work, so we already have a program for job placement if they want a job. We already have that because like a lot of rehab places putting people to work in labor jobs and stuff. That's putting girls at risk for trauma. Mm. The rehab is like $5,000 for each patient. Drug rehab mainly. I'll have to do some research on that. 5,000. Okay. So this is a lot. That's interesting. And so to be a part of the rehab, let me, if I get this right, um, be a part of the rehab that you're talking about. They try to put you in jobs, like different jobs, and being in those jobs exposes the girls to trauma, and it's a part of the requirement. Is that what you mean? And stuff to put a girl at risk to trauma. Let them get off the streets in 2020. It's all in for trans empowerment. Yes, we already have a housing program. So we have a job placement program and we have a housing program. So if girls don't want to do sex work, we already have ways that we are already combating that. But you also got to understand that some people like doing sex work, and that is not a negative form of work. I think a lot of people judge sex work, and so they because they judge it for themselves, they think that people are not doing it consensually because they want to do it. Some people are. Um, oh no, no, no! I'm not expecting you to do. You don't have to. I'm just getting a general idea. I can go do the research myself. Inpatient rehabilitation for trans women specifically could be a life changer. So one of the elements of this shelter that we are funding, that we are raising funds for, one of the elements is a rehab center and mental health facility for it's it's centering trans women, but the mental health part, the housing part is going to be definitely nothing but trans women, but or trans people. We still deciding that. Definitely specific trans women for right now. But also there is a mental health component of the facility that is going to be open to women, whether it be trans or cisgender women, because I feel like the opportunity there can be an opportunity for us to kind of fellowship and community build and come up with solutions for all of us that includes all women. Um, but I have a part of that programming is a rehab situation. I haven't worked it all out, but yes, it is going to be a rehab situation. So this is kind of like affirmation. And some places shove them into labor to get jobs working with jobs. You got to explain that a little bit more to me because I don't really understand that. So the rehab facility just puts them in places as a part of their programming that are mandatory and right. And then do you mean that in those jobs they can be in positions of trauma? What do you mean by that? Like, what's the problem with them being placed in jobs? You're saying they're just shoved into labor ticket jobs. So they're doing work that they don't want to do just to be a part of the program. Is that what you're conveying? Yeah, they got fees to be paid off for days staying in the inpatient. Okay, so we wouldn't have that. We would be paying funding all of that shit. So that wouldn't be. Now there would be different program aspects. So I gotta really think about that. I gotta really work the kinks out. But that is going to be a part of. There is a mental health component to the facility that we're creating. Assistant programs need to be led by us. There are too many programs, nonprofit and advocacy groups who are just enriching themselves. Example: Malaysia Booker never got the money she raised before she died. Yes, I have talked about that on my Facebook page with abundant prosperity and how shady they can be. Um, yeah, weird shit that they do over there. Some rehab programs are very much like scams. In California, anyone can open a rehab. Well, we want to do trauma informed care, which makes it, I think it makes it work. So we're trying to be better. We're trying to lead. I'm trying to lead. And it's we're trying to lead with integrity. But being a small org, we just don't have the money to do everything we want to do. And not the nonprofit industrial complex. There's a lot of clicky. Only certain girls get application to the grant, get invited to the grant. You gotta rub elbows with fake ass people. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. So it's kind of weird. So it's hard. Sometimes it's difficult with getting the funds. It's not difficult with distributing the funds. It's easy, honey. Once you get the coin, it's easy to do what's right with it. But that part is actually easy. I never understood the part where people fucking over money that they got, but there is a click situation. Is your organization something we can donate to? Yes, definitely. It's all in the bottom, and it's every episode that I do. It's in my bottom. Every episode of Marshall's Play is always there for you to do, and you also can become a member, and you can just like like if it's kind of you can do a one-time donation, you can do a monthly donation, like just like Patreon, just like anybody, you can do anything like that. But yeah. I didn't want to say no names of those predatory trans advocacy, but as usual, Diamond, you keep it above. Yeah, honey, I know the G is for people. There are certain groups that you will never see me engaging with because they are, they toxically predatorial. They get monies and honey fly to fucking Africa and stealing money. And, um, that's just not how it works. That's not how it works. It's just really it gets real toxic. That's why I like Arya. That's why I like Arya. I like because you can see the work that she's doing. Like she's such a she's such a brilliant mind. She's so good. Her who else? Tony Michelle Snapco out there in Atlanta. Um um Mahogany Project out here in Houston. I love them. Oh, labor tickets. I see what you mean. Doing hard labor, so they're paying off fees to be able to stay and get rehab and patient assistance. Gotcha. All right. Gotcha, 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 gotcha. Mm, that makes sense. Yeah, Arya's my girl. She's really doing some amazing work. She just got funded to do. She got a a thousand. What is it called? Universal income. Is that what it's called? Where some they pay you every month. The government pays you every month to, for your for they pay you. She literally got a universal income for 18 months for a few trans people just to test it out and do the research to see it. So literally there's people in San Francisco who get $1,000 a month from the government just to help them get on their feet, and they want to see how effective it is for 18 months to see if it can help people get in a better situation. She's literally that's a program that she got going on right now. And if it works, she's in partnership with Mayor Mayor Breedlove. And if it works, they're gonna expand it. Yes, I love Arya. Arya was watching me when she was a teen. She said some beautiful things to me the other day. That was like, wow, I didn't know, just stuff that how I was connected to her life, and it's beautiful. She's really, she has blossomed into such a powerful leader. And if I have any part of that child, I'm like, thank you. I love it. They're testing that in New York too with single mothers. I think that is so dope. I think that's dope. But all right, y'all. I got to get up out of here. It's way past 3 hours. I try not to go over 3 hours, but it's 40 minutes over 3 hours. But I wanted to hear what Miss China had to say. Thank you for sharing that to me. I will do more research on that. I think that's a great idea. But yes, I will talk to y'all next Friday, or if I just hop on anytime between then. Make sure you thumbs up if you are still watching. Thank y'all, and I hope y'all have a wonderful weekend. I will see y'all next week. All right. Bye.